Previously on X-Men.
You gotta get that sound effect in.
Excited for watching that because I started watching that again. Excited for what's coming on that because I'm excited for that's coming. And then like I checked out Evolution, which isn't bad. So I'm excited for rewatching Evolution.
When did that one? Is that when
2000.
haircuts? Everybody had haircuts, right?
It was all like they're back in high school kind of thing, reset kind of.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't.
CW, but the Expanse because they did 4 years of it. So like they got to go to farther characters and deeper in the roster. Like that's when it starts getting good. Like
That's
later
cool.
seasons.
That's cool. I think it was just too jarring of a switch because I remember the original cartoon. It like the final season, the animation changed.
Yeah,
and that was weird. And then they went to Evolution. I was like, no, I can't do all this.
I just need more X-Men, right? Like it was a while since, and then what we were getting with the animated series was like unlike anything we were getting up to that point. Everything else was like either a toy commercial or like a property that like you were jumping into because it was made for the purposes of Saturday morning. X-Men had been a thing, and now they're finally getting a new audience and like reaffirming the audience that was already on it with like a kick-ass cartoon that like held true to a lot of things and then created its own set of people. And like Morph, I swear, got invented and thrown into like canon based on.
For the cartoon, yeah.
So like that shit's fucking awesome, right? But like Saturday mornings is extinct now, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. Eh? We're excited. You're waking up at like 6 a.m.
Yes.
on a Saturday. Like,
Yes. Like, and like get your shit done and then get your shit together of like how you spending like 6 to 7 hours if you wanted in front of the
it
TV.
feels loud too. My parents would usually tap me in the shoulder around 10 or 11. Like, hey, right around the time where the more like the weirder cartoon, like the Men in Black cartoon starts coming out.
Okay.
Like, okay, guys, hey, it's like 11. When are you gonna go outside? Because back then it was like get outside.
Yeah, which was also amazing too. Like we had outside, so you could always come back and eventually end up seeing cartoons somewhere else. But the Saturday morning was built on we have you from like 6 to like 6 if you really wanted it. But like you were saying, your progression of where they put the cartoon was right. So like early morning stuff was like all like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that's right.
By the time like 11:30 midday rolled around, you're getting X-Men.
That 8 or 9 o'clock stuff was the
Yes.
good stuff, and then like
Yep.
it started to tamper off around 10 or 11, and then noon it was like news and church stuff. And it was like, okay, well, I don't want to watch this, but it was. You're right. You get a good like 4 or 5 hours in, depending. I'd love to go back and to look at see what the programming was. I'm sure it's somewhere. The problem is I used to jump channels though. You'd be like one YTV from this time to this time, and then you go to Fox specifically for X-Men and stuff at this time, and then you jump.
What you're doing, Coke, is you're helping set up the draft that we've been trying to work on down the line. But I have some links to send you of like what would break down all the major networks slated slot times for a specific day in that like era, and like just to see the jump around and all the stuff I've seen, man. Like to reiterate the point, like Saturday morning thing was a thing. Like it was a vibe. It was like
it was a weekly event. Yeah.
It was a bowl of cereal. Like it was like the commercial you were getting. But something as deep and like resonant from such a fun memory when you were a kid to come back like now and even still going is like a testament and maybe the cool thing about such characters of this like canon, right? I don't know.
This is the first time we've like started an episode and we're actually talking about the topic we're about to talk about.
Back at it again, like we never left. Coke and Dank, Dank and Coke. We are the Lethal Weapons.
Hey, Dank.
Hey, Coke.
What did the X-Men call their sperm?
What did X-Men call their sperm?
The Seamen. Nothing on that one. Just the letter C. Whatever.
It's good.
Whatever. There was one that there was one about what I read. I think it was Colossus. That made me laugh. But I went with this one because I felt edgy. Whatever. Way back in like episode 33, we did.
X Swords.
No. That was episode 50.
So, but that's
Episode-
previously on X Men.
Yeah,
Full
Damn, that's
full
right.
circle,
That
full
is
circle
previously-
moment.
But I was gonna go back because it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yes,
we did.
But like
we
that's
did,
why like this is a crazy type of episode. Like that's why
Yeah.
we're talking about the episode before the episode because like that run was crazy run, man. Like that's how much we loved X Men. We were just reading the pull list and like their weeklies or their monthlies and just watching the story progress into another event, right? Like
Well, we did House of X, Powers of 10, episode 32, and episode 33. We did Dawn of X stuff, and we did 8 additional like parts to that, and then when episode 50 we did X of Swords,
I think it's fair to say we like X Men.
and now we're back at episode 80. Was this episode 84? 84.
X of Swords is bad.
That's what we got turned off for so long. We're like that was such a stupid. Like the ending was good. The ending was interesting.
It
But the
bookend
whole-
amazingly, right? Like what happens to I can't say his name, but the amazing sound for
The dolphin
Apocalypse.
sound. We used to call him dolphin sound.
He had managed to like rebuild his family and have like generals that were his like seeds and like rebuild his new future kind of thing. But everything in the middle between the two, I guess, countries was
Nations?
like nations, sure, like teams was like touch and go, and like sometimes we take this seriously and sometimes we don't take this seriously, but ultimately it means nothing. So like you're cheated as a reader.
So yeah, April 2021 is the last time we published anything for this run. That's how sick. That's how much X of Swords pissed us off.
It
then-
was a good man.
But I just felt so burnt out. I was like, man, all that for this. But then one day you're like, hey, we should go back to that.
I mean,
We should go back
Still-
to that.
they're still making
And
comics.
Me being the slut that I am was like, okay, let's go.
You're not a slut. You just you know you like, and you know
Yes.
who you like giving it to you.
Yes.
Even if it turns out bad, you're like, all that fucking foreplay was amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. It's about the journey, right? It's about the journey.
Is it? You know, like the Big Bang.
Oh, I love the Big Bang, but sometimes the journey is more important, right? But anyways,
No, I mean,
Anyways.
definitely a journey.
anyways,
We're back in the HOX POX DOX, which is not a thing. according to
nobody
you.
knows
This
what that means, by the way.
is-
HOX POX DOX. It was House
We
of
know
X.
what it means.
Yeah, but House of X, Powers of 10, and what was Dawn of X. I was like, what was the D again?
Yeah.
Um,
But I feel like anyone reading that would understand the HOX POX DOX. I think we
They-
said that a whole bunch of stuff times too.
yeah, they
So,
would, but this is like that was like back in like 2019.
we
Or
have
2019, 2019.
those 5 fans are loyal, so they know when we say HOX POX DOX, we talking to them because they love X Men.
I was looking at the statistics yesterday. We blew up in Germany.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did we?
Like I
Scheiße.
thought it was like one. I thought it was just one guy, but it was like 4 or 5 different parts of Germany. Like, boom, like not crazy amounts, but like scores in each one. It's
Okay,
like, oh wow, I guess they really like Toxic Avenger. I don't.
maybe
I don't know. Maybe they're like,
we doing Hasselhoff numbers now. I'm
Yeah.
for it. Let's
and
get it
blew us
in.
up, like hundreds from Germany in one day. It was like, but different parts. So something happened.
Suite of things that we've recorded. They downloaded.
I
or
didn't
just,
see what they recorded. I just saw the hits.
just
I
the
just saw the
Toxic
hits.
Avenger. Check out Toxic Avenger. We have fun on that.
No,
There's-
I don't know what they watched. I'm just saying it.
I'm just saying, now that you think me of that, because re-listening to that, when we get into Goon Hall of Fame and just that one
The
scene, in
Goon
the-
Hall of Fame.
he blew away a dog. It's
Point-
so good. I
Fired a
laugh.
shotgun at a baby.
I
Blew
swear.
away dog.
It's so good.
They went nuts. It was like 4 or 5 different parts of Germany. I thought that was awesome. I was like, hey, man, there was some of them. There was some from Berlin, some
Sweet.
from Sachsen, some from Bayern, some from Baden-Württemberg, and
Nice.
some from Hessen. Whole bunch, like scores from each one.
Well-
especially Berlin. There's like 60. Was that?
Sprachen Sie Deutsch and Hagen Das. I'm coming to you guys. We're gonna do a world tour in like I don't know 2 years. Why not?
They're like, you gonna go to Germany?
I'd love to go to Germany to do a podcast to go see what the hell is going on over there.
I'd like to just go there and like try their beer. I don't.
and the Autobahn.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can go
Yeah,
as
man.
fast as you want. That's
So
right.
we'll take turns. One of us is going heavy boozing, and one of us is heavy
Yeah.
driving, and then we'll
The
flip.
next day we'll switch.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
that's an amazing idea.
It's never gonna happen, but
Whoa, you didn't have to say that. Why? Why kill it? It's all right to dream. We never thought we would have a podcast, and here we are talking HOX POX DOX.
and here we are back
At it again.
like we never left. Anyways, we did that already. Yes. Now we're doing. So we did House of X, Powers of 10, the whole Dawn of X run. That was back in episode
And-
like 33, and then
And
we
it's a
did
sword.
X of Swords in episode 50.
Awesome.
And that just took the wind right out of our sails.
Yeah, man, like way to not stick the landing. Actually, we talked about like it was really well bookended, but the middle just meandered and made everybody look useless. But like we never cared as much about Apocalypse until like the last couple of pages kind of thing, right? Like he set himself up.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, you can go back to episode.
Sorry.
Oh, that's right, because he changed his name to A.
Yeah.
We just call him Dolphin. It
Dolphin
looks like a
dolphin
dolphin
sound.
sound, so we just say
Dolphin
dolphin
sounds.
sound.
Dolphin sound.
But we, you can go back to episode 50 and listen to the X of Swords stuff. But basically, it had a really interesting start, had a really interesting end, but everything in between, what was it, 16 or 19 issues were just. I don't remember how many issues it was, but it was more than I wanted it to be, and it was not really.
And yeah, with the crossover issues too, right? Because it's a whole tournament between
Mhm.
two islands of teams that they assembled. Great premise walking in, and we thought it was going to be a fight to the death, and it turned out like dudes are getting married. There's like a food competition. They're eating. Like it was played for gags and funny and humor, and they kind of missed the mark of everything leading up to that, right? Because you had us tense. You had us. Like, they had to find specific swords, and like only the sword men could battle in this exchange against Krakoa versus Araco. And like that whole thing, I was just like, I gotta find my right sword, and like, okay, this sword is matched with this sword, and like they all had names, and like I love when comics do the reveal, and like they were releasing covers and didn't tell you who the team was, so it was us guessing, right? They had us by the balls.
Mhm.
And then we get to the war, and it's just like, who can eat all of these weird things? All right, point for you. Who can swim underwater against the shark? What's going on here?
Yeah, what happened here? Why did this become so goofy? Yeah,
Why is Cypher getting married? What?
Yeah, it broke us. So then we stopped doing the Dawn of X run, but now we're back because one day you were kind of like,
I miss it.
You want to do this again? I was kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I want to see how it ends because taking X of Swords out of it, what they've assembled, what this writing team has done with the scope and the universe itself of just X-Men and managing to include so many X-mites. I don't know what to say. X-Men agents and just
X-people
and mutants just across the landscape. And even for like the diehards, you can see some certain panels and one-shots and you can find like these specific mutants in the backgrounds that you wouldn't think you get to see all these crazy things happen to all these people. And there seems to be a care and a nurturing for why I have this person in this team for this reason. And all that's progressing. And the fact that they managed to do the unthinkable, which is Magneto and Professor X on the same side, fighting for the same goal. And they're also like, mutants are the best. We're the number one race. We're moving to this island. Easy premise, but then to create all of these villains that don't like anything that you're doing, including humans, like, come on. So we were trying to keep up with as many villains as they just kept incurring. And X of Swords was like, okay, this could be the big bad, and it wasn't. So like the urge to go back in and feel like what's actually going on in this world, because me and you have been having theories of like who's actually going to end up bringing down this entire run. And I hope one of us is right, because that's amazing, because we called it way early. But easy spoilers, I'm going with Professor X and you're going with Beast.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
going through this run, it's still looking like Beast. Like Beast is.
Well, you were talking about Magneto and Professor X, and they kind of aren't in this that much, like as main focus points. Across all the books actually that we've read so far. So we're starting Reign of X right now. We've cut this up into a few parts, so we're not doing the entire Reign of X run in this episode. Right after
X of Swords.
X of Swords, thank you.
I want to say House of Swords.
Excalibur 16 to 20. Yep. So I'm just double checking my notes. X Factor 5 to 8,
Not bad.
right? X-Men 16, just the one issue X-Men.
Solid.
Cable 7 and 8.
Interesting.
Hellions 7 to 11.
Amazing.
That's my jam there.
Mm-hmm.
X-Force 15 to 19.
Outstanding. That's my jam.
Wolverine 8 to 12. A lot of Wolverine in this run.
Yes, and I can't believe what's happening with this motherfucker. So, like, that's kind of cool.
And Marauders 16 and 17.
Can't wait.
What you will notice is only one issue of X-Men and no issues of New Mutants, but that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. Those will be in
Part 2.
The second part to this episode, plus a whole bunch more. Children of the Atom and X-Corp and stuff will be in there too. So,
let's dig in, man.
just this one website's suggested reading order, and it seemed to make sense so far. What's interesting is that as we're reading through it, it's like not really many of these connect, except for the Wolverine stuff, because he jumps
Through
different books,
teams,
so it kind of works for him. But a lot of these teams do cross over a little bit, but it's just like features, so they can like when Excalibur crosses over to X Factor, which we're going to talk about right first. They're only there for a little bit, and then they kind of go off into their own thing. So it's just kind of sitting up,
which is amazing with a cast of hundreds to keep them separate because they all have shit to do, which is amazing. Knowing that inevitably they all got to come home, and that's what we're building to, right? We're still building to the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, that'll be Hellfire Gala will cap off. So we'll do the Reign of X Part 1 and Part 2, and then we'll do Hellfire Gala, and that'll wrap up this. It was a chapter of the Jonathan Hickman X-Men era,
right?
Because we did that with Dawn of X. We did Dawn of X in a whole bunch of different parts. It was like 8 or 9 parts, and then we did the X of Swords as his own thing, and that's what we're going to do here too. Reign of X in 2 parts, and then.
So we're going to see if we can get burned again, because we got burned on X of Swords, and we're trying not to get burned in Hellfire, but assuming that that's going to be the event for this next run, which is when I would assume we see all of these kind of teams back together fighting or working towards whatever the shared cause for at a gala, which can be amazing, right?
Well, and to be honest, if we do get burned again by Hellfire Gala, it just means like we'll come back to this because we did off of X of Swords, and I was pissed off with X of Swords. So we will. It just basically means will we be back to? I think it's Trials of X is the next one. Will we be back to it sooner or later? That's kind of just what it means. It depends. It all depends on Hellfire Gala. But getting into it, let's start with Excalibur. Because this one is the first issue to come out after X of Swords, and it starts by focusing on the surviving.
Looking for Betty. I was gonna say
Betsy, yeah, but it starts a little bit before that. Well, because she died in X of Swords, or she disappeared. She got turned into like a glass and shattered into pieces.
Outerworld for you.
Yeah, Outerworld. Yeah,
Otherworld. So,
that's one thing we did learn about in X of Swords, just to back up for a second. If you die in Araco, if you die in Araco and are revived in Krakoa,
you come back different. You
come back very different.
Yeah,
you're the same, but it's almost like they hit the reset button on you rather than the refresh, which usually happens if you die in Krakoa or on Earth. Or I guess 616, I should say. If you die over there, you come back as like a new character.
And they're kind of basing that around Rockslide, and there's another person that's
Gorgon
that they've tried to replicate, and they're not the same. So there's another underlining issue. That's the amazing thing about this run. There's always an underlining issue. The amount of alarms that go off. It's very hard to see Krakoa as the utopia that they want it to be because. And again, reading when we get to certain issues, they're just chilling on the beach and something happens. It was like, oh God, you can't even rest on the beach. Like, goddamn.
There's too much. It kind of goes hand in hand. Like, you just want sovereignty and you want to just kind of do your own thing and be left alone. It's never that easy. Never that easy. And that's the ongoing thing that I keep seeing. It's like, man, they just keep getting pulled into all this shit, and they can't some of it they ask for, but some of it's like
most they don't. And I wonder if that's the price to a utopia. Like everyone, you can't really just party all the time. We can have like, although everybody's at the bar constantly, and Bar Sinister is fucking amazing. But everyone has a job and a role, and like they take that vehemently important. Like that's the end all to be all. And like if you're not at your post for this specific, and it's those specific teams that are like make or break. And like if you, that's why I love X Force so much, because they're like the last line. They're the last line and the first line. Like they're the first ones like, yo, this shit we have no idea, go. And then they're like, we have no other choice, use these guys, right? So it's like you see the sacrifices daily with them,
Mhm.
with wanting to preserve their way of life on their own and have their own rules and have their own laws and have their own dream that they're now in the midst of.
Yeah, it's cool. But we'll start with Excalibur because, like I said, the surviving mutants left picking up the pieces are dealing with the Betsy being different. And by different, I mean is uh, different versions of her have like formed. So there's like not infinite, but tons of different versions of her as Captain Britain. But their 616 Betsy can't be found, so they're trying to figure out where she is. And
Do you think that the ripple effect of multiple Captain Britons came after the glass shattered? Or
yeah,
like that was always a thing? Okay.
no, that was well. It used to be a thing. It used to be like the I can't remember what they used to call them. It was like the League of Britons or whatever,
Okay.
and they all disappeared because it used to be her Brian,
Her
right?
brother, yeah.
So now it's when she started, it was just her, and now they've shattered and it's kind of like reset as her. If I'm remembering right, I didn't read much Captain Britain. I just know that from osmosis. I always wanted to say that word.
Photosynthesis. Because we both love the movie Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, there you go.
So good.
Yeah, Shogo is back to a baby. He used to be a dragon for a long time. Dolphin Sound, Apocalypse. He's being held in Araco as part of the ceasefire from X of Swords. And Richter is showing how attached to him he was.
Yeah,
Him being Apocalypse, Dolphin Sound.
he's a little grumpy Gus. I mean, I get it, right? Like this is the only parental and paternal impact in his life, and actually like believed in him to the point
Mhm.
of like taught him his language. So I don't know if they're using Richter as a sleeper agent for Dolphin Sounds when he returns, but there's that connection in the fact that he has the Grimoire or whatever his book is, and he's using that now in lieu of APOC Dolphin Sounds.
It was
Is kind of
interesting.
cool.
It was interesting to see just how much of a effect he had on Richter. Right, it was kind of cool seeing him defend because Rogue's going in on him.
Yep.
Nobody misses Apocalypse less than Rogue, right? So she's going in on him, and Richter's kind of like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And then they have an interesting conversation because they respect each other, but it's like they have very different opinions about one very important figure in Krakoa, right?
Right.
But he's gone now. So because X Factor concludes that there's no way to help Betsy since her death was magical by nature and she didn't really die. It's like
Die.
quote
Yeah.
unquote die. She just kind of shattered and disappeared. So they're just kind of like, all right, Excalibur, you guys deal with magic. So it's your case.
Yeah.
And X Factor just kind of pisses off.
It's a good trade off too. There's like this is
Yep,
not
makes
our
sense.
jurisdiction. Yeah, like we can't do nothing here.
You got to think that the amount of deaths and stuff that they have to investigate constantly, they're just dying to get rid of, shed some of them, right? Like this one's magic. We can't figure it out. We're not even gonna try to figure it out. It's yours.
Yeah, you can only imagine how many cold cases fucking X Factor has to deal with, with
And
all of
then
their power sets too, right? So
right.
we'll get there when we get there. But, yeah.
So in Otherworld, the group teams up with Megan or Gloriana, and they discover at the site of Betsy's death that the other Captain Britons can't locate her either because they're trying to get a lock on her telepathically and whatnot. But they get a glimpse of her waking up as the Queen of England in a bed with Warren, and that's a
That
different
influence.
version.
Yeah.
So okay, this is kind of weird, but
That's not her. That's a
our
different dimension, parallel universe of her. No.
it is. But what happens is I'll say our
616.
when I say of our, I mean 616 just for everybody listening. So our Betsy woke up in that Betsy's, like her conscience woke up in that Betsy's body.
Okay.
That's why she had the letter waiting for her. She had a
Yeah.
letter like ready to go. Like, oh, if somebody does take this body of mine, just so you know, this is how you get out. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I guess.
Breaking case of emergency. I've been here
Yeah,
before.
that's exactly what it was. There's a
Yeah.
letter that was just, in case I start acting weird, let me give me this. Yeah, that was kind of weird. But
I'd
she
be
wakes
mad,
up.
but this makes more sense for how they've been treating Betsy's character and Psylocke's character, which is shells
Mhm.
of who they formerly are and who's helping to fill the role of who embodies them, and they both deal with a lot of duality. And if I'm the right person for this body, let alone this world, this job, this life.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up Psylocke or Quanon,
Yeah.
which is a real name now. Um, is because when Betsy is the Queen of England, her boyfriend is Warren, so
Hmm.
she's back with Angel, but she's with Angel. It's interesting because she's kind of like, well, we were never together with me in this body.
Yeah,
So how
it's a
does
different.
that make you feel? And he's kind of like, what are you talking about? Because it's a
Yeah,
different dimension. He's like, I'm in love with you.
you.
Doesn't matter. So they kind of touch on some touchy subjects of their past from 616. Like, and then he assigns, but Quanon is in that dimension his ex-wife. So
Hmm.
it's like there is a parallel there, which I thought was kind of weird but interesting. And
Hmm.
then he assigns her to help Betsy get to the lighthouse, because in every dimension there's a lighthouse, and that lighthouse is kind of the center of all the dimensions.
Yeah.
So they have to get to the lighthouse, and then when they get to that lighthouse, she can kind of send her consciousness through out of the Queen of England, Betsy, and back into 616 realm. Uh, this is all weird stuff. I'm not a big fan of the jumping stuff, but they're trying to explain it, and it does make sense.
I get you. I appreciate that the characters that aren't Betsy and Quanon don't have to put in the complex understanding of you're you and you're whose body, because that's
Yeah,
bullshit.
yeah, yeah.
It's just for them and kind of the audience. And even if the audience is a little confused, just press through, because eventually you're gonna get to a moment where whoever they have to face off with, they're gonna have to face off with. So yeah.
Yeah, so she comes. So they get to Quanon gets Betsy to the portal. They have a strange conversation because Betsy starts like has this all like Survivor's Guild thing and just kind of starts pouring on her. Like, I'm sorry, we were in the same body, and Quanon's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I
Yeah.
can tell you're not lying, but are you trying to say that you want my body? Because you're not going to get it. And then they kind of get into a bit of a shoving match. Um, Betsy goes through the portal. Our people find her, bring her back, but she's weird. She's
Yeah.
disconnected. She's
616.
quiet and moody. And I was like, that's understandable, but it's just got a character for her.
Hmm.
And even when her brother shows up, she like runs, she like hides from him. I'm like, what is going on? This is silly. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, now they're taking this so long. It's clearly not Betsy. And I'm like, oh God, they're doing the Quanon in Betsy's body now. That's what I thought was going on.
Hmm.
Turns out that isn't what's going on.
There is another sky.
But there is, yeah. But what ends up happening is um, the return of Malice,
Yes.
who is from like an old X-Men villain who has no body. She kind of just, not kind of, she just possesses people. And that's what happened when Betsy was coming back through I call it the wormhole just because that's a cool use of the word.
Sure.
When she's coming back to the wormhole portal,
Right.
Malice hitchhiked or caught a ride on it
Got it
and
right.
took
Yeah.
over her body and left Betsy's consciousness kind of still floating around 616. They try and get the body and the spirit together, and she doesn't want anything to do with it. So then
She freaks out.
her and Quanon have to go into like the astral plane.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's what I'm gonna say. We're underselling it, but like all the psychic and kind of mind ish that they do towards the end of that issue or that run or
really
that
cool.
little
Yeah.
chapter is really, really smart and really, really fun. Right? You get to see how powerful these women are with their minds and like what they manifest. And the cool thing about Malice is you can tell that she is inhabiting a body with this choker or this chain that's supposed to be on
That's right.
everyone's around neck, but she figured out the cheat code of like if I swallow it, that they don't know that I'm somebody else. So often you see characters coughing up like it's Betsy that like coughs up the necklace and they're like, oh, it's Malice, right? But no, like
That
there's all
was
these
clever though.
yeah mind daggers and like the way that they can infuse themselves into different things. Like I loved all that astral plane stuff. That was the most interesting stuff out of the book, which is them fighting kind of through their minds.
How do you rack it up against the was the Jean and Storm Remember going into Storm's mind?
Oh, that was
Gene and
amazing
Emma?
though.
Gene and
No,
Emma?
that was
That was
because
yeah.
those are omegas and they're at the top of their craft. But like the entire book was painted with no words, so like you can't. That's an untouchable issue. If there's an issue to pull in like own, it's probably one of those that I would do for this run because it was amazing.
Yeah, they don't really compare to that one. That one, the one with Gene and Emma that we were talking about, nothing, like, doesn't beat that. Yeah, they go into Malice's mind and try to convince her to join up with Krakoa. She doesn't want to,
Nope.
so they end up killing her, like her conscience or whatever, and reviving her. So they just go against her wishes completely,
Yeah.
and give her her own body, and she's all pissed off. But I guess she kind of sees.
That's the MO from Professor X. Usually it's
Yeah,
like
that's right. That's right. Yeah,
they'll go by our way, and if not, or we're doing it anyway. So
yeah.
everyone's just
Like, I
following
don't
suit.
join us in Krakoa. I don't want to. Okay, she doesn't know what's good for her, so let's just kill her and force her to start a life in Krakoa.
Yeah, do what's good for you. We don't know yet, but we expect that to have ramifications down the line and kind of blow up in their faces, as most
Yeah.
of these decisions do.
So we have the end of that 6 run, or 5 or 6 issues is Malice has an origin story which she never
Yep,
had before. That's new, by the way. Betsy's back,
kind of.
and Jamie's still hilarious because he's
Yeah, you
remember
can say the Jamie and Sinister trade off again is still funny and probably
yeah.
the funniest thing that happens in that run.
and he just happened to have a spare Betsy body in his basement.
Yes. I love when those two like Sinister and Jamie talk because you end up
Yeah.
finding these nuggets about who they are personally, but like they both see each other as a king on their chessboard, but
They don't
see
like each other
as
either.
they see each other as a pawn, which doesn't make sense, but
Yeah.
it's always hilarious. And there's still the cape thing going on. Like Jamie still shows up in his cape. And
Yeah,
it's like,
which is amazing.
Sister doesn't like that.
Which is amazing.
2 things I'll say. I like not Jamie. What's the other Maddox? What's the third sibling of the Maddox family?
Brian,
Brian. I like Brian's new suit.
it looks dope, man.
Colors. I was gonna say it kind of Germany colors in it, so really smooth, and he's got a whole family now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this about Richter: Dolphin Sounds appreciates Richter on the level of Cipher, and Cipher can talk to Krakoa and is the voice of Krakoa, but he looks at Richter as the heartbeat of Krakoa. Like he understands you can feel this island it's alive and you can move forward. So like I expect Richter to do big things when it's all said and done out of this run.
Yeah, he's gonna be a big. I think they're gearing out to be another Iceman type.
Omega level
in terms of power sets, right? Like,
and I also think a heel turn. I think he's gonna have to make a decision of if he wants to fight with his crew or with Dolphin Sounds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that happens there. So we'll move on to the next book, which is X Factor.
Your favorite team?
We'll get into that afterwards. We'll talk about the 5 along with X Factor are planning on bringing back all the resurrections, but they first need to address the rock slide situation, which we talked about before. So they get. I don't know why I keep saying kinda. But they get with rock slide, and Rachel looks into his mind, and she's realizes that his mind and memories only go back to a certain point, and it's not what she expected. It's not even that far back. It's like the point that he was resurrected. There's nothing before that. So, like we were saying earlier, I think her line is, "You have to treat him more like a newborn baby than like old Rockslide, because that's his memory only goes back that far. It's like I was created here. I know nothing, but I'm just here, right? So that's different.
Still a mammoth of a being mutant.
Yeah. And Siren somehow is falling to her death, and we like multiple times. Nobody knows why.
Yeah, like how she keep dying. She's like, I'm dead again. Like,
I'm like, she can fly. Why does she keep?
That was good. There's some good lines in there.
Yeah, there were some funny parts. And then when they confront her about it, she lies about it. Or there's always their accidents. And like, okay, well, and then that was a cool part actually, because the different members could all
break down specifically. Yes.
Yeah, I can tell she's lying because I can tell she's lying because I can tell she's lying. So they all know she's lying in different
through
ways.
different senses. Yeah, one
Yeah.
through sight, one through sound, and one through like
Pheromones and what she's secreting and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it broke down and gave you a deeper understanding and kind of appreciation of why this team was assembled. Like before, you just thought it was like a hodgepodge, but like no, these guys are actually at the top of their craft, and the fact that they now can lean on each other, even the more stronger.
Yeah, and it turns out that the Morrigan has been controlling Siren this whole time, who
Yeah,
has been using hypnosis powers to mess with Polaris and Dakin.
the Morgan, not Morgana, right?
No, not Morgana, the
Okay,
Morrigan.
the Morgan.
She's actually, I believe she's from like Hercules.
Was it?
Yeah,
I'll take a word for it.
it's a deep cut. She's not from. She's not like an original Marvel character. She's from.
In a book of so many deep cuts, there's another one that's adding to the
Yeah,
level.
but it's interesting because they
the
have
mythos.
Malice. They have Malice and the Morrigan at the same time. Yeah, Morgan was the first Darkstalker. Yeah, Darkstalker. She's from Darkstalker. Sorry,
Okay.
I believe. But anyway, she is controlling Siren. Yeah, Conan the Barbarian. I was right. 1971. I was right. Wow, Conan the Barbarian is when she first
Appears.
1971. So they've moved her into here now. But she's here and she's controlling Siren and she's just messing with them. And I don't really understand how. Maybe you can tell me. I don't really understand how Polaris and Rachel teamed their powers up to take the Morgan down, but it
No,
happened. And
but I don't even understand. Like, there's kind of like Morgan kind of like flirts with like Polaris and like
yeah,
lulls her into like a sense of like, oh, you can trust me, and then
well,
is in
that's how
her
she.
mind.
That's the
That's how
hypnosis.
she gets hurt.
She
Yes,
uses
I
hypnosis. Yeah.
that I appreciate that, but I didn't think like Polaris swung that way. It doesn't really matter, but like the fact that like Pussy almost got her killed is
Yeah.
hilarious to me.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because I don't think it was meant to be sexual. I think it was just supposed to be like, just
Just the closeness of
capturing.
those. Like,
It was supposed to
yeah,
be capturing. It was kind of because the way that it was drawn and written, it looked very seductive, and that kind of brings to my point. This book is horny as hell, and it's like
yes,
there's not. So there's we just went through 4 issues, right? So way more happened in Excalibur in 5 issues than it happened in this in 4. Um, 1 issue difference, but there's so much, like Excalibur took us so long to cover. This one took us 5 minutes because that's all that happens. Because the other half of the book is
if we're just
people.
talking about plot. If we talk
Yeah,
about characters, like there's so
I'm
much
talking about plot.
character arc that happens all throughout these books with these
There's a
young
lot of
gunners
yeah, but
and their relationships and stuff in their power sets. But
everybody's trying to everybody. Well, not everybody. I shouldn't say everybody's trying to fuck each other because that's not true. It's just there's constant couples pairing up
Mhm.
where it's so much so where it feels like a daytime soap almost. It's like okay,
I
I'm
know
not.
it's got a
I'm,
little CW to it, but like
yes, CW is perfect.
it helps progress kind of the cold hard CSI of it, and then when that finally pops up, like it's treated that more dangerously because you thought it was all fun and games, but like no, we're playing with serious kind of tones, and we need to figure out these things quick because everything that we're trying to hunt inevitably ends up hunting us.
I disagree just because I don't think it's written all that well, like the
Mm.
romances. Like I understand what you're saying because in a perfect world, you're right. You got this cold case files or these investigations that are very serious and they're trying to. And then on the other side of it, you have all these couples that are like budding romances, but it's just written really weird. Like when Aurora's talking to Dakin, he's like, I can't remember the words. I didn't write. I should have written it down, but it was
Sure.
like just so corny. I was like, nobody talks like that. Nobody's gonna talk like that. I know it's Dakin and he's like Wolverine's son, but it's just I don't know. I don't know. There's too much of that going on for my personal liking. That's why you're making fun of it. It's like, oh, it's your favorite book. It's because this is my least
Yeah.
favorite book out of all of the X-Men Krakoa
Stuff that
version
we're
runs.
reading,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, by far my least favorite.
I do like iBoy gets to shine in this run. You get to
Yeah,
see
he
him, like,
no, yeah, he's dope. Yeah,
he's got way more powers than we thought he does, and he can see like even further than what we thought he could see.
yeah.
What we typically don't talk about is kind of the emails and the writing. And the amazing thing about these comic runs, they always break it down and throw in either a letter between characters or some sort of chart or some sort of information. I loved about this run is there's an email from North Star to Charles, or Charles to North Star, being like, "Oh, we've heard about all the things you're doing. We congratulate you. Uh, We know what's going on with Siren and Morgan. Keep us posted. Could you please like let us know what's going on with iBoy and like Trevor and all the mutations and everything? And then North Star, like I said, it's a big thought out paragraph from Charles, and North Star just writes back no and
Yeah,
signs it
it's
North
great.
Star. So like I love that dynamics starting. That's going to be something that you get to watch moving forward of how these guys don't really like authority and the authority that's trying to, I guess, weasel in on how they run the show.
I do like the way certain characters are written. Like I like the way that this writer does North Star. I
Mm-hmm.
like the way actually like the way they do Rachel and other character Polaris is cool too. It's just like it's romances. I don't want to get back into it, but I just don't like that. So that your specific email interaction you're talking about was hilarious.
Yes.
And
No.
North Star is a dick. Like they have him. I like him in a position of power. I really do. He's almost like um, I don't mean to sour the name of Cyclops, but he's almost like Scott, but complete dickhead Scott. Like it's
So
do you
like
know what I mean?
Havoc,
No, because Havoc's not that much of a dickhead. I think
he
Havoc,
has his moments though.
he has
But
his moments, but North
he
Star
just
just
he never has
is.
power. Yeah.
North Star just is. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
he is unless he's with his husband, then he's nice. But otherwise, he's just a dick, right?
Because
Pretty
he's
funny.
mean to his sister. He's mean to like, I don't want to say mean. He's just like fast and like abrupt. And I don't know if that's because of his power set. He's so fast, like he's gotta.
Yep.
I don't have time for all this stuff. And like even
It's
when he was
probably-
looking for Dakin, he was like, "How did you find me?" He's like, "Well, we triangulated where you were in this area of the map, and then I ran around everywhere to find you, which took like 7 minutes. So it was like a humble brag, but you
Yeah.
understand the way his mind works is like just put me in an area and I'll figure it out because I'm fast enough to do it. So
It's pretty
he's
funny.
got a level of arrogance that is hilarious,
Mhm.
especially when it meets people that should be above his kind of pay level. And he's like, no, this is my team.
He's not a bad guy. He's just
Nobody's
very-
a bad guy in this world. Everyone has shades of gray, and it's always interesting to see, which is kind of the reward. Anytime a team tips toes and like meets another character or meets another villain or meets something new into the bubble that they've created, you get to see how everyone would react outside of what the current writer is writing within the group. So I always love those kind of trade-offs.
Before we move on to the next book, what did you think of Prodigy getting a farm of dead bodies to study?
Weird how that happened, but
Yeah. Sage is kind of like, here you go.
yeah, he begged for it. Like it was like a pinpoint of this run of just like, I really need this North Star. Like there's no other way. If I can't do this, we're not gonna find out anything. So, he had to put his foot down in order to get it. Now he's got it. I can only imagine what's gonna come out of it. But,
Zombies.
or vampires or plant people or
Yeah,
like
so- yeah,
a
yeah.
million different things. There's the
Something's gonna
Krakens.
happen, yeah. I was just going to ask you, what do you think's going to happen with those? I think zombies. It's gonna be zombies.
Krakens. Yeah, something living inside.
Krakens.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we had a bunch of those Russian dolls, remember?
Nesting dolls. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. Right?
So that's it for X Factors. We will move on to, I guess, X-Men, because
Let's
this
do
is the one issue.
It's just
of
one
X-Men.
issue.
Yeah. Krakoa and Arako have been apart for so long that they actually, this is kind of interesting, refused to rejoin
Rejoin,
together
yeah.
like originally planned. Like they had planned that Exosaurus, okay, there's a truce, ceasefire. Now the two nations can reconnect.
Yes.
Everybody's hunky dory.
Again,
And-
another slap in the face to what Exosaurus was building. Because at the end of the day, like, okay, just we'll be friends now. Like, why did I read all of Exosaurus? It wasn't really a blood feud.
But then you learn through Cypher that it's not that they don't like each other. It's just it's been so long they don't even
They don't-
speak the same language. They can't
They
even
don't
communicate.
know each other. And I love how
Like, wow.
they telegraph that by showing us the vines reaching out and like seeing if they can intertwine, and they're like, nah, and then they just recoil and go back their separate ways.
Yeah.
And you have Scott, Nate, what's Cable's original name, and
Nate,
Rachel,
Nathan, yeah.
all looking out to see like, this isn't going to work the way we think it is. And like, nope, they all understand that this isn't going to be as easy to get these two islands back together. So
No.
kind
And
of a
then
fun teaser issue.
I like how they go over and they're like, oh, we'll just talk to them. And they speak to, what's her name? Issa, like the undefeated ever? Is it Isa? Isa, the undefeated one, the one who killed Betsy, quote unquote, killed Betsy.
Etha. It's like four letters.
Yeah, Etha or something. The undefeated.
Itha.
We should know this, but I don't have it written down.
Listen, we'll be better by part 2.
Oh, Iska. I do have it written down. Iska. They meet Iska from Morocco, and you can tell how different. Like in that one conversation, you can tell how different the nations are. Whereas Morocco, you learn, has 20 times more mutants than Krakoa, and they are all hardened. And their governing council is only Omega levels. Like you aren't allowed on the governing council. Like the uh,
Quiet Council.
Krakoa has the Quiet Council. They're not
Mhm.
all Omegas, but
Nope.
in Morocco, they're all Omegas. They're like the strongest of the strong, and they're just hardened. They're hardened. They're used to war. They're used to battle, and there's 20 times more of them. So when the council asks for Scott and Jean to join them, but they refuse on the grounds of rebuilding the X-Men team, and let the members of that team announce themselves. That's kind of a little off to the side, but basically they
So
talked to Iska, and they were like, okay, so they thought they could just kind of like talk to her and patch things over, and she's like, nah. So when the council asked Scott and Jean to join them, like, no, we want to rebuild the X-Men, and we want to let the members choose themselves. We're not going to go around picking other X-Men. We're just gonna. So that's dope.
yep.
I can't wait to see what team comes out of that.
Yep. That's another nugget that that's another like seed that we're gonna enjoy watching grow and
Is this
flourish.
is this the one you read ahead on? This is right.
The X-Men? Yeah.
Yeah. So you've read ahead on this one. I have not. So you kind of have an idea what's coming, and that's what you said, right? You like it got so good, I just kept reading it.
I had to keep going. It's X-Men. You can't tell me to stop reading X-Men.
Never would.
So.
Never would. I was like, here's the one issue, and you're like, yeah, I read like 6. We eventually will, so there's no harm in that. But
I have since forgotten it because then you're like, no, read these 12. And I was like, okay.
yeah, then it just
Completely out the window. Yeah.
blocks it all out. Yeah.
So I look forward to jogging my memory. I was like, oh, yeah, this happens. This is good.
But it's definitely a setup issue, right? It's setting up, well, clearly setting up the new team of X-Men and why
Setting up another X of Swords. We need to fight in order to bring you guys together.
Well, Iska can't be beat, right? That's her power, so she can't lose.
Is that good writing or terrible writing?
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's Superman.
It's terrible. Because when she went to go fight Betsy and X of Swords, like, well, Betsy's dead. And so Betsy lost the fight, but she didn't die.
Yeah.
Quote unquote die. So
nobody really died in that the winner to death.
Except for Gorgon, and it was like off panel. It was like you didn't even see him die. He's just like, he's dead. It's like, what? The guy with 2 swords?
Oh man, we have to go back and read that just so I can laugh at like, oh man, these guys.
The guy with 2 swords died.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
Speaking of swords,
Speaking of swords, let's get to Cable.
7 and 8,
Yeah, there's 2 issues of Cable. This is kind of on its own thing,
which is good.
Which is cool. Just like the other ones have all. Excalibur was its own thing, but they had cross paths with X Factor a little bit. Well, I guess Rachel's in this too. So
And so is
Rachel's in a
Domino.
lot of
So
this, actually.
you can say X-Force. Yes. As you will now notice, the Summers are taking over all the books in one way or another because, as Sinister knew from Jump, this is the DNA you want to rock with. This is the end all to be all. So
he loves this. He loves
who don't love the seed of the Summers, man? Like, they even talked about Vulcan, and I know Vulcan's still floating around, but we get, in this run, Rachel, Nate, Scott, Alex, little Jean. So it's gonna be good, man. But back to Cable. This seems to be Attack of the Clones because he's got a whole other.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this whole thing. It was the Order of X thing was cool, and the clone things. Anyways, Cable, along with Rachel and some Philly detectives, they were pretty cool. They were funny.
No, they were funny. They were cool.
Yeah, that's what I meant by cool.
Okay.
Are on the hunt for missing mutant babies that the Order of X are kidnapping. If you don't need a refresher on who the Order of X are, it's the people that like worship mutants, and it's like this cult, but they're obsessed with mutants so much so that they want to become mutants somehow. So they think by like kidnapping mutant babies and then I guess sacrificing them or something, maybe eating them. I don't know.
They're not wrong.
They want to. Like,
that we know of. I don't know how to become a mutant.
They'll get mutant powers or something. I don't know. Anyways, what they discover is that one of the cult is being mind controlled by Strife. And Cable teams up with Domino to find out why. If you don't know who Strife is, that's a clone of Nathan Gray.
There you
go. Old Cable that's gone crazy.
I just love the fact that Domino's now teaming up with Cable again.
Yeah.
And they have a little trade-off talking about where Domino misconstrues what Cable says, and she's like, "You've tried so many times, you're an old man, and now you're too young for me." And Cable's
Yeah.
like, "No, I gotta go follow this guy." Right? So like, there's this whole like Domino may have some sort of attraction to Cable at a level where he was at the same age as her, but she can only ever find him too old or too young to really engage with. It doesn't matter. Like Cable's still getting girls. He's got the one of the triplets.
Cuckoos, yeah. Phoebe.
He's good with that. And I didn't enjoy the clones, but I enjoyed the scene of killing clones because it's like Domino that saves the day. Makes me think that that one escape could eventually turn into another version of Strife. Because if they're doing an old Cable and a young Cable, and they're establishing that there's an old Strife, could you have a young Strife as well?
Maybe because I mean, young Cable killed old Cable. That's how he became the new Cable, right?
Right.
So
Kill in the sense of an X-Men book because
Yeah.
nobody's really dead because we get that teaser in one of the issues that
I was
old
gonna say-
Cable is. Yeah, go for it.
And they've been teasing him in this run even before X of Swords because in the old, all I wrote was that they end up in Japan fighting a dozen of Cable clones, but still don't find the other missing 5 babies, assuming they're somewhere lost in time with Strife. So they found one baby, but they couldn't find the other ones. In the future, old Cable falls into a trap. That was the end of my notes for that.
Par for the course.
They're very subtle with the future Cable stuff, the old Cable stuff, where he's just like in a
It seems like they're saving that for a big reveal of something.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
may change the entire course of everything that's going on. So
I don't think this book is that long. I think it's like 12 issues. So I think could be wrong, but it's not. It's not. It's like it ended in this run.
We're reading the series, so there's nothing to say that old Cable doesn't pop up in X Force, right, where he normally belongs. So can't wait, but not something that I'm thinking of. Right, there's certain things that you have to kind of forget from this entire run because if you think you can hold on to that nugget, you're gonna miss something else that's happening as you read.
This is my bag right here. Hellions. I love this stuff. This is the good stuff. I know you said.
All right.
I know you were talking about X Force and stuff, but I want
listen, man. They both got a summers, so I'm not mad.
Hellions.
X Force is summer. Well, kind of cheap.
It's fine. Do you want to talk about X Force? Or you want to talk about Hellions? Which one do you want to talk
about? Hellions up. I already have Hellions pulled, and again, I'm gonna end up talking about Alex and how he fails everybody. But this was a crazy type of story. Like I really enjoyed this isolated run because we're coming out of death. Apparently, only Sinister knew was like a real death because they lose Nanny and Widowmaker.
Do you want me to get the summary or?
Yeah, Wild Child. That's the only 3 names I can remember. Go for it.
Yeah, I love this. This was also, I think, the best run out of the X of Swords stuff too, because they were just doing the wrong. Remember, they had that side mission, but then it ended up being
they didn't have to touch with it.
Yeah, they thought they were going in to steal the weapons before the X of Swords tournament could start, not realizing that the tournament had already started and then finished, and what they were really doing was just going in there to steal like DNA from Morocco things so that Sinister could have them. Like it's Sinister he's just completely duping them constantly, and it just doesn't change here, right? So coming right out of the previous issue, number 6, where the team met Tarn the Uncaring, that guy that looks like a Martian, and his minions, basically Arako's version of Sinister. That's who Tarn is. Like when Tarn was talking to them, he's Sinister. He's their Mr. Sinister, right? And that's when they realized Sinister led them on a fake mission for the swords instead to steal the Arako mutant genes, right? That's how this starts. They're like, oh shoot,
you used us again.
You used us
again.
Because when they meet Tarn's like, what are you talking about? The tournament's done.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here? Anyways, the team was killed, save for Quanon. Sinister Clone died. Nanny died. Orphan Maker and Wild Child died in Arako. Empath got killed by Grey Crow in Otherworld, and Havoc.
Which was hilarious.
And Havoc and Grey Crow were killed by Sinister and Krakoa. So the entire team except for Quanon got killed. Just different places.
Yeah, but I just love coming out of this issue. Like the first time we see Sinister, he's like knelt down on a tombstone. He's crying out for like his team. Yeah, but he's just hamming it up, and it's so perfect.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
But Nanny and Orphan Maker coming out are definitely not, and Wild Child to a extent too. Like they're not the same. Again, there's something not working with this whole reanimating process. And
This connects back to X Factor and what we're talking about when they're investigating what happened with Rock Slide and how
right,
he came back different. They realize here that when people die in Araco and come back in Krakoa, they come back as like themselves, but to, like the power of 10. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's you, but it's your version, which is like extreme, like the extreme version of you. So if
yeah,
you're a funny
you get souped
person,
up. Yeah,
yeah, if you're like a joker, you're funny or something like that, you come back and you are just literally nothing but jokes, nothing but jokes.
yeah.
It's someone like Wild Child who's
Maniac
basically
psychopath,
Sabretooth, like a mini Sabretooth.
Mm.
He's just a full on just
baby
animal.
tooth.
Yeah, he's just an animal. Like he's literally like a saber-toothed tiger at this point.
Yeah, but
And
he's not now, right? Like now he has that whole like essentially he's seen the other side. And he's like, I need to find my lady wolf.
I
I
was just
need
gonna
to
say
find.
that all he wants
Yeah,
to do is kill and mate. That's all he wants to do. He's
yeah,
literally an
it's
animal
amazing.
now.
It's like
Yeah.
like he wants to like procreate now. Like he kind of sees the light of like
Mm-hmm.
what I was doing before will only take me so far. Like now I want to. And Grey Wolf kind of like laughs him off, but you
Grey Crow.
kind of
Grey Crow.
Grey Wolf kind of laughs him off, but you can kind of see like him respect him a little more. To be like, okay, like you have purpose now.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get you there.
Well, and then we get another layer peeled back when we learn Sinister and Quanen's deal and why she's so loyal to him
Yeah,
is because he has her. I don't know if it's true or not, by the way, but it
How-
goes back to the
good call. Yeah.
Apeth, that stupid, was it the Fallen Angels? Remember the 5 issues of Fallen Angels
Yeah,
that
which
I
was
was so amped for, and then it was kind of like,
a beautifully looked book, but
yeah.
like I don't think as well thought out. Especially with what we know about Quanin now and Psylocke, you could have done so many different things with it.
But it was clearly a precursor to this book because that
Yes.
set the stage for
Her
this
to join.
relationship between Sinister and Quanin, where he has her daughter's entity or soul or spirit or
DNA,
consciousness, something.
yeah,
Yeah, some sort of that's right, DNA. You're right.
any
The
strain of
DNA that
DNA
he's
can
able
just
to have talk to Quanin whichever she wants to. Is it real? I don't think so. I think
yeah. But how you gonna know? I don't. But I don't think
it's
that's like that's
Sinister.
not.
I don't believe anything he says.
I don't believe him, but I don't feel like that's a lie that he would take.
I do.
We'll see.
I do.
I don't think he's an upstanding citizen. I just feel like he doesn't fuck around with DNA. Like that's the one thing that he's just like, I'm a god here. To the
No.
point that like people come for him and be like, yo, give me bodies. Like I'm trying to, like the whole fucking arcade thing is like, give me bodies. I'm trying to populate murder world.
I believe it's her DNA. I don't believe it talks to Quanon. I think he's doing that.
Oh, okay.
Is
Say
kind
that.
of my thing. It's like a half.
Say that.
I was trying to, but you kept talking.
Listen, I'm excited about this run because so many things happen and
Yeah.
they're seemingly throwaway things, but
Mhm.
because this team is so reckless and so well suited to be around each other, you get all these nuggets that are kind of amazing.
Well, it's cool though because the 3 that died, well, everybody's brought back to life. They're all revived, but the 3 that died in Araco, Orphan Maker, Nanny, and Wild Child, only 2 of them are brought back. Orphan Maker they can't bring back. He's stuck in like a stasis because they don't want to activate his mutant power, which is he's like highly radioactive or something, and if he exists without his armor on, he's basically going to cause like a global meltdown,
Which is amazing.
which is like holy shit. Okay, so
So
this
you can kind of see how the book could end.
so this run is like, so Professor X actually steps in. It's kind of like, nah,
Not this one.
he stays in this like, I guess, fetal stage
Yeah,
until we have somewhere to put him, and that's
where Nanny steps in and kind of puts the armor on him and kind of births him back.
right. But this whole book, like this middle section, is their mission to get the armor, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's what I mean. So it's not. It's yeah. You're right. She puts it on him, but there's a whole middle section of this run is them just going on this mission to get the armor, and they meet up with. Well, let me hand during the mission. They meet up with Cameron Hodge, who is a former purifier.
Mm-hmm.
Remember with all the robots?
Yep.
The androids? Yeah. So during this mission, Wild Child and Nanny get right to business. Locate her ship and leave the other 4 fighting off robot AI and Cameron Hodge. Like when they get there, it says like all right, when I say go, we go, and they look over and Wild Child and he's already in
So
there
you're running off.
killing
Yeah, that's
robots,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
And then you kind of
but
see the
oh, and
intellect of the rest of the team, though, right?
yeah,
Because the robots for Hodge are sentient, so they're
well,
operating off
they're
of
an
kind of a
AI, yeah,
sentinel.
yeah,
Yeah, they're operating off of like this sentient sort of uh, sentinel based operation of like mutant bad, people good, everything else kill, right? And so you think they're going to stick to that, and with certain reveals, because empath proves to be.
Wait, what do
Go
you? I
for it.
was just gonna ask you before you go on. What do you think, Ape Empath?
I don't like him, but he's amazing.
Yes, okay, so exactly how I feel. Like he's so handy and he's so funny and he's so
But he's
useful, but I
but he's
can't
such an asshole.
like the biggest asshole.
But like you can kind of see where that's stemming from in the second half of this run.
Yeah,
So like that plays up to it. But without empath, they would have never figured out what they need to figure out about Hodges.
yeah, because he realizes he tries to read him and he tries to mind control him and he can't. And he starts laughing. And Cameron's like, what? What's so funny? He's like, well, I can't read you. He's like, of course you can. I have like, he's like, no. I can't read you because you're not human.
Yeah, you're one
He's
of
like,
them.
what? He's like, he's just laughing. He ends up dying again, which is hilarious. He's like the
Yep.
new,
Kenny.
what's his name? No. He's the new, what's the mutant name with the pink?
Oh, he's Omega, Kid Omega.
Kid Omega. He's the new Kid Omega, right? Because he dies constantly. I can't remember. I forget his name. And now Empath just keeps dying. It's like pass the torch to him.
Yeah, I mean it's the pink team. Pink is an unlucky color in this
Yeah.
world run.
Yeah. So and then like Hodge, like the AI ends up turning against him and stuff, and
Yeah, and
he gets
because
diced.
of that, the AI learns that these mutants are their friends. So like one of them befriends Alex, and Havoc's like, "We're friends now." He's like, the robot like computes new ways to like talk to the mutants and everything.
Yeah.
You think everything's going hunky dory for these guys, but meanwhile, Wild Child and Nanny are and Grey Crow and
Psylocke.
Psylocke are all in the main base.
Yeah, they're doing their own thing. I was just saying, Nanny and Wildchild are getting the armor. Meanwhile, Psylocke has her own mission to do, and Grey Crow kind of just goes along with her. And
She's doing the self destruct. She wants to take down all the robots, which
by
makes
Magneto.
sense.
Magneto
Yeah.
told her to do this, so I was like,
Yes.
oh, okay. And even like ice in her veins. This chick, she's just like, even Grey Crow's kind of like, I don't want to push this button. She's like, fine, I will.
Yep.
And just fries the AI.
Grey Crow tries to offer up being the killer for this moment, and
Mhm.
she knows Grey Crow enough to be like, I see you. You're not a killer. I am, and like hits the button, and like you see Grey Crow kind of conflicted with not necessarily the lifestyle, but the choices he has to take.
Oh, he's turned on.
Well, but
He wants
yes,
that.
Pussy's gonna get him killed. But Psylocke's all about. She already sees her end goal, and if her end goal is her daughter getting back, everything else is just fucking white noise. So I don't care how I have to do it and who's in my way. I'm doing it. So that's an amazing way to end the book because Alex ends up heartbroken because he thought he made a friend and like exploded and kills himself. Grey Crow's doesn't know if he's a true killer or not. Psylocke, they're still looking at Psylocke if they can fully trust her because Alex and Psylocke were having this whole like, why do you keep taking Sinister side? Like,
Yeah.
what is this connection here? And she's like, you don't trust me? Trust me. Don't worry about all that other stuff, right? So like, I loved how that one issue ended, and the flip of like what happens when they go back just made me love this run so much more because they go back and Sinister's gone, and it's a whole other thing has to happen now.
Yeah. Well, so there's a couple things like, what did you think of the killing the AI thing? Because they made it seem like it was kind of like, so it's a orders from Magneto is the AI can't, because AI can be hacked and it can be
manipulated.
against
Yep.
them like it was with the purifiers, and that's
Yep.
so that was the submission within this. You could actually say that's the main mission. The submission was the armor for
Armor. Yeah.
armor, right? But regardless or irregardless of that,
Regardless.
they made it seem like Havoc was really distraught. He was kind of like, man, I got to them.
Because dude can't get a win. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about Alex and Havoc in this run. Like they make him just the whipping boy for a lot
down
of things.
on down on his luck. Eh?
If there was no empath, I'd feel the worst for Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he can't figure out heads to tails of what his path is and what team he should be rolling with and like who he can trust. Fine, fair.
Did you see the last words that came up for the AI?
Do you have it written up?
No, I don't have it written down, but it was something. Remember you say they changed the programming to like mutant is friend, and it's like
Yeah.
mutant is not friend, and it was like deceiving. And so it's like, okay, well now they're gonna come back,
Yep.
and they're gonna be pissed off, or not pissed off, but
But it makes sense if there's actually a Cameron Hodgin out there. So like, you can't have this tech rolling if this evil genius, is going to be using it to take down as many mutants as possible.
And what did you? This one thing that I thought was dumb was the baby robot that Nanny finds.
I don't mind it, but it makes more sense for the growing pains that you see between Nanny and Orphan Maker.
Right, but how's that robot gonna grow? It's a robot.
Is that what's suspending your disbelief?
Is gonna be a baby robot? Like, do they upload it to a different body? Is that how it works? Like when it gets older, and then
It could. I wasn't thinking that. I was
kinda
thinking
weird.
that they were just going to keep adding armor to it and it was going to grow bigger. But I don't
that's
know.
what I mean. So that's what I mean. I wish she had found like just a head of a robot
Okay,
head,
and built something out of it.
and it's like,
but that's
it's my first day alive, and then they could just because it's like a baby robot. Okay, so
that's not endearing, right?
it's not gonna
And, like,
grow.
now-
It's not a person.
now-
Like
but now she has a secret, and now she
Yeah.
has a competition for Orphan Maker. Like now she's
right,
kind of a rogue agent,
an
right?
out,
So like
almost.
that's a real and like that could be the one thing that ends up bringing them down because they didn't destroy all of the AI, right? So like
of course, yeah.
I like what the plot device was for. If you're trying to like nail me to the board for consistencies and like how does a robot grow? I don't have those answers, but again, we're in the world of X-Men and comics, so like I'm not really bending my brain power on like this doesn't make sense to me.
No, and I wasn't mad about it. But I was like, that's
I did like
little
the cheat,
strange.
but it's corny. Yes, I'll give
a
you
little
that.
strange. It's okay. So when Orphan Maker comes back, he's much more just like Nanny and Wild Child. He's much more unruly and snippy. He's like this moody teenager now.
Yeah, he's grown, which is awesome. Yeah, he's like, I don't need a nanny anymore. And he's like, no, I need to change this now. And he's trying to bark orders with her, and Nanny's walking off. So like, he's not putty anymore.
And then Sinister meets with Mastermind about some deal that they have cooking up, but ends up
When's the last time
double
you saw
crossing him, and
Mastermind?
eventually, what's that?
When's the last time you saw Mastermind?
Yeah, I think wasn't he in an early? You know what's
Probably. But
you know
like
what's
this, if we're building a hellfire, it's nice to see these guys start popping up, right?
Actually, I was listening to it. He stands out to me because I was listening a few years ago. They had like these Marvel podcasts. I think they probably still have them, and they tell stories like original stories for certain characters. And one was there's a couple Wolverine stories. One was in the winter in like the Alaska, and the second one was like in the bayou. And the villain in there was Mastermind.
Sweet.
So the way it's all an audio podcast, but it tells the stories, and it was interesting. So he said that to me. I was like, "Oh, last time I saw him was that podcast."
He's a mind fuck, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, but he meets with he double crosses Sinister and takes him captive as well as the rest of Hellions for Arcade, who is one of my least. I can't stand this guy. I hate him. I've always hated him. I hate him now. I hate him. I just don't like him. I don't like the character. I don't like his
he's a Riddler.
Exactly.
And he has no discernible qualities. He's a toy maker.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. But then he wants like they play him up as this big bad. It's kind of like, man, this guy's like.
But you can read past that he's a sub boss because, and what we get from him is he assembled Mastermind, and Mastermind really gets the nuggets for what you want from this group. So
also
go for it.
His internal protocols message is hilarious. Issue 10 is like when it was like when you walk, I don't have the written down, but it's like when you walk by me, you must look at the floor.
Confirm.
But us also don't look at the floor every time. You must address me. I won't address you back, but you need to address me because like
confirm.
You need some respect. Like it was like
confirm.
Ridiculous. Like it's like the
when I say shut up, you shut up. Confirm.
Yeah.
Confirm.
Like,
the confirm stuff got me.
No,
every
not
time.
so much. Not even that. It was like a side page. I'm gonna try and find it. It was really funny. It was
Arcade's whole plan is he's trying to populate his murder world warehouse full of clones.
Yes.
So he needs the clone master, which is Sinister. For whatever reason, has to pull a root canal on him, and then Sinister starts talking differently. Like his the way that they write him.
Yeah.
His speech is slurred and like drugged up, and kind of he's still trying to be charming, sinister, but he can't because he's like now missing literal teeth from Arcade. But yeah, the whole plot essentially by Arcade is I need Mastermind to brainwash Hellions team to think that they're living a life that they're not living, and that's where you really get the nugget from this issue in this run. I wanted to say episode, but you know it's not an episode. So like you hate Arcade because he's whatless, but Mastermind is the one that ends up. You find all these nuggets about all these characters about this run, right? Like I loved how they gave you each room and then they told you what it was. Like room 3, Psylocke was compassion, and it's just her fantasy is being with her daughter, right? Room 2 is Grey Crow, and it's absolution, like him defeating whatever war that he's in with his troops, right? Empath's is satisfaction. He's just eating. Wild Child's is aggression. He's fighting Sabretooth and Wolverine and winning that fight. Nanny and Orphan Makers is protection. So it's a room full of children, and Nanny loves them all. And then Orphan Maker gets 2 nannies. Havoc's room is passion, and the pussy that got him killed is back to get him killed, which is it's not Morgan Le Fay, which that's the clone of Jean, right?
No, not Morgan Le Fay.
It's a Jean clone. I can't remember which one.
Madeline Pryor.
Madeline.
Well, I get those two mixed up too. I had to look that up quickly. I'm not a real X-Men fan.
And then when Arcade wants to squeeze him, he flips it, and then you see their nightmares and all of that shit. Just amazing book.
Well, what I was going to say is that I was going to just run through the back half of this.
Please do.
Yeah, so he holds all the Hellions in psychic torture, like you were talking about, and wanting Sinister to make him his own clones for Murder World. Excuse me. Well, he agrees to it, but he still Sinister agrees right away. He's like, yeah, sure. And Arcade's like, oh, well, that was a little fast, but I'm going to hold your team a bit longer because I want to torture them. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so Psylocke ends up.
They're all sadistic. They're all just sadistic assholes. It's amazing.
Well, you explain what all the prisons were like. They're mind prisons, and Psylocke is the first to break her illusion, and she's also
amazingly
the
too.
Psychic. She's also the strongest psychic on the team too, right? So
I just want to talk about how she figures out to break it, right? Like she's about to give her daughter pudding, and she's like, "What's your name?" And her daughter's like, "What, sweetheart?" It's like, "No, what's your name?" And daughter's like, "I don't know." She's like, "Where am I?" She's like, "I don't know." And like then you see Cyclops be like, "I got to get out of here. This is not home." And that was amazing. From then on out, I was like, as if you weren't already gripped in this book, there's another reason to be like, "Yes, go. What's gonna happen?"
it's kind of like that. You just remind me of Bitch Planet, or when he was like, "What's your name?" He was talking to his daughter. "What did you want to do?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't. I just want to do this." He's kind of like, "Okay." And he knew right away she was fake. It's the same sort of thing. Parents know.
Yep.
Parents know these things. Yeah, she breaks the illusion, and she
remember that parents know. So I don't know if Sinister can fake it for Quantum, because parents know. Just gonna put that out there. We don't know. We'll find out when we find out. But
so she calls to Grey Crow and the others eventually, which some of them have to sort of break their illusions too. So Grey Crow's the first to come, and she it's the ages, it's timed differently. It's so funny because like Psylocke is super old.
Yeah, she's been living years upon years,
killing this same clone or evil version of her over and over and over again, and he's kind of like, "Whoa, what happened to you?" But it's not real. It's funny. Who's gonna get him killed?
Yep.
But they end up grouping together, and eventually Psylocke overpowers Mastermind, which is very impressive. It's just they've been at it for like a week, so Mastermind's just
he's so tired. Like, he's just like, yeah. Dude, just sweating buckets in the chairs, like, I got this. Meanwhile, we didn't talk about the real pull. The only reason Mastermind is doing this is because Arcade stole his daughter and, like, is threatening to kill her. Right. So, like, Mastermind's like, I'm between a rock and a hard place, right? So, like, I'm not going to drop the ball because, like, you're going to kill my daughter.
Yeah, so it ends up being a sleight of hand to overthrow Arcade because, like you said, he had Mastermind's daughter tied up or in hold. So
that's the whole confirm thing, right? Like that's the confirm is Arcade relaying a message to the bunker where Mastermind's daughter is, and whoever's holding the daughter
Yeah,
captive.
and
Right?
then all of this so Sinister can have his own hand in Arcade's clones by his design. So I don't know what he's planning. Like he's always got something.
Well, you love clones, so we
I
can't wait to
can't
happen.
stand clones.
We can't wait to see what happens from this.
No more clones.
But again, just proving again how smart and strong Psylocke is, proving how much Grey Crow is gonna Pussy's gonna get him killed, proving how broken kind of Havoc is with like who he loves and who he's still trapped by. Like you get all these nuggets from who these are individually that when they're forced together, like you're praying for this team to come out, but I think a lot of writings on the wall, like there's not gonna be a lot of survivors in Hellions. Hellions was basically their Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So let's jump to before the last two are pretty. There's three more runs we gotta get to. Let's get to the shortest one first, which is Marauders. This was I loved this. This was a great setup because it's time to pay the piper. As Emma and Kate and Storm pay Sebastian Shaw a visit about his treachery and how he plans to pay for them.
Yeah, I didn't expect this level of revenge to happen.
Loved it.
But
Loved it.
goddamn.
It was so good because remember Sebastian killed Kate.
Black King.
Yeah, he killed Kate and Lockheed way back at the beginning of X of Swords, and when they found out, I think Bishop found out first, right? They were like, "We'll deal with it later." Well, later is here. X of Swords is done. The tournament's over. Like I said, now it's time to pay the piper. Publicly, Quiet Council, who will no doubt banish him to the hole with Sabretooth. So they're basically like, okay, we can do this two ways. We can do it publicly, like I was saying, the Quiet Council will banish him to the hole with Sabretooth, or privately, where Kate and Emma are the judge, jury, and executioner of your fate.
Yeah, they systematically break him down, like just walking through the door, right? Like
and he
they
tries
shoot
to
him
bail,
with.
and it's like, no.
No, you can't do that. They shoot him with a gun that like negates his power set. So
Yeah.
1, 2. Then they like beat him up. Like he gets a couple shots to the groin and the face. 2. Lockheed comes back, takes an eye. 3. They poison him, so he's like paraplegic. 4, and then like they wheel him into the meeting to be like, now he votes for us. Like Black King is one of ours now. And they're like, oh my gosh, like the amount of ways that they disassembled this man, and then like bled him dry to be like, oh, we still need your vote though. So like you're just gonna roll what we're doing.
Yeah,
like I thought it was great.
Well, it's either that or you're banished in the hole. No one's gonna see it. We haven't seen Sabretooth in like 2 years.
And they did drop the name of Sabretooth too. They're like, we'll banish you the hole with Sabretooth. It's like, oh yeah, Sabretooth down there. Yeah. Sabretooth go kill somebody. Exactly. So it's amazing. It's been amazing.
I like how they did their due diligence too. They checked in on the Black Bishop and stuff, and they talked to them. It was kind of like,
we have your king.
And like, but then like, we knew nothing about it. Like they were just vetting to see who else knew about it, and only Sebastian knew about it. So
I love that it's all power players, right? Like Kate's Red Queen, and then Emma's White Queen. Yeah. So the fact that they're usurping the Black King's throne so they can have another seat at the table, I like everything that made all the comeuppance made me laugh. But once they go to the Quiet Council, they're like, yo, what's up with this dude? They're like, hey man, if you want to find out what's going on with this dude, you got to vote for it. They're like, all right, fine, I vote. And half of them were like, yes, vote. What happened? But the other half were like, nope, we don't want to know what's going on. Keep it moving. It was like a stalemate. It was so good. Like they used their own politics against them to be like, no, you can't talk about this now. We didn't vote on it. So like, leave it alone. I laughed so hard, bro. It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, it was good. I love that too. I love that the whole scene was great.
Because even Sebastian's like, no. Like he votes against revealing what happened because then he has to like snitch on himself. So there's so many
Mystique was the only one who was kind of like, okay, fine, I'll bite. Yes, but Moses was like, no, yes.
And I love that it's progressively coming that like nobody wants to be on the Quiet Council, especially the X-Men. They're like, nah, I don't want my seat anymore, man. There's too much pressure. There's too much weight. There's too many things going on there that I don't want to know about. Like usually you try to ascend the ladder for power because you want to hold it and use it. But there's a lot of teams and mutants that are just like, no, man, the higher up I go, the uglier it gets. And I don't like knowing all the stuff that I know. That I'll talk more about that when we get to X Force, because man, that's beast mo.
Yeah.
But in this book specifically, power is such an interesting dynamic because Kate has always proven to be a boss, and even when someone tries to call her Kitty, she's like, no, no. Now the rest of them are like, it's Kate, right? Like they'll hammer that down. So like, Kate's been respected by her team for the longest. The fact that now like the Quiet Council has to like look at her as like a major player is crazy. But I love that like Emma's kind of still pulling the strings in a very very low key, subtle way. Because I feel like she's even got her own things cooking. Being part of like she's now, I can't remember the name of the corporation that she runs, but she owns this
Hellfire.
large. There you go. Like she has the Hellfire Corporation, and that's starting to make more money, right? I think the next story is going on with like Storm and what's the mutant with the bow staff and the eye patch that runs the mutants that are in the sewer. Damn it,
No, Callisto.
Callisto.
But so basically, what happens with the trading co, right? The shakeup with the power the power shakeup there means that. So it used to be the Black King and Black Bishop would deal with like the black market stuff, and the White Queen and White Bishop would deal with the countries that were in on the whole.
Yep. Everything on the
and
level.
Now they've switched that around.
Yes.
Like, all right, so the the whites will now take care of the black market. That sounds so bad. I knew you were gonna laugh too because I have it written down like that, and I was like, shit. It has of course to be whites and blue. The whites will oversee the black market, and the blacks will switch to the yes country. That's so funny. I knew that was gonna happen. Why did I write it like that? Anyways, but that's how it works now. So they've just switched responsibilities.
Yes, and now that
to keep Sebastian Shaw completely out of that.
yeah,
that
because
zone.
they're pulling his strings now too, right?
Mhm.
Like, so we've got your underhanded company, but now we have you as the face looking at everything, but you're not even gonna get to talk. You're gonna be in a wheelchair. Like, it looks like he has cerebral palsy. Like, half of his face is falling off. It's amazing, and
then
they're talking for him. So, can't wait for all the stuff that's gonna come.
Then the subplot there is Kate and the Marauders buy out properties in Lowtown of Madripoor to undercut the Verandites like Enzal. Remember they have like they own the
right,
Junior
yep.
Hellfire Club and Enzal. They like own a whole bunch of Madripoor. It's just like trash. So Kate and the Marauders like, all right, we're just gonna buy all these properties here and suit them up. That's gonna come back around.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah. Sidebar: Do you think they always wanted to take Madripoor, or like someone's just like, no, this is the spot?
It just happened.
Not in terms of the characters. I feel like the writing, like
the writing,
all the places in the world that you could have decided, like, here's going to be kind of another HQ they're going to build up.
No, I think it's
because Madripoor comes up constantly, right? Like,
yeah, because it's fun to write in, right? And it's anything goes. It's the
fun to say.
It's the anti-Switzerland, right?
Madripoor.
Where it's kind of everybody has a truce, but not really truce. But truce, I mean, like everybody hates each other. And they
should have picked a German town. Shout out to our German listeners. Did you hell? Why did your
no? I
like that?
I was like, Achtung.
Careful. That whites and black stuff over there you do.
Yeah, the whites do this and the blacks over there.
Wait, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at that. Another related semi-racist thing. Moving on.
All right, here we go. X-Force and Wolverine. These books kind of go hand in hand.
No.
Well, it's because I think Wolverine's the through line. I read them back and forth, but you're right. The Wolverine stuff deals more with vampires, and the X-Force stuff deals with a bigger picture. We'll start with Wolverine.
Team X. That's the stuff that like threw me off. I read Wolverine last.
Do you remember?
Do you
remember when we talked about? I think when we first did this, we're like, what mutants are missing? You remember that?
Yep.
And one of my top choices was
like Maverick or something.
So because he's one of my favorites, I loved him as a kid. There's an issue I have of like X-Men Unlimited. I think
you're such a Boy Scout. Of course, you like Maverick. He's a dirty Cyclops.
Yeah, actually, it's not that bad. But his power is cool. He's got the Sebastian Shaw power. Where he just turns sharpshooter, but he also turns the kinetic energy against them. But I loved him. But I have this issue of like X-Men Unlimited.
Before you get off, he's like, God. If Domino. I just want to get this off. If Domino and Bishop had a kid, it would be Maverick.
That's what you want to say?
I kind of did. That's what you described the power set as, man.
I don't want to talk about my issue anymore.
That's a lie. You love
I
Maverick.
lost it.
You have a raging clue for
Well, no, I
Maverick right
love
now.
him. I love him. I because I have this Marvel Unlimited issue. I don't remember what number issue it is, but it's him hunting Sabretooth through like a church and
Oh,
stuff, and Sabretooth has
yeah.
gone feral,
That was
and
good.
it's like he has to put all these stops. He takes Sabretooth down. He takes him to Professor X because he's like, I don't know what to do with him, and that's when Professor X takes him in and tries to like mess with his mind, which then leads
Brainwash
to,
him, yeah.
which then leads to like the whole confrontation with him and Psylocke down the road, where he like almost kills Psylocke and stuff. It's really cool. Back when she was like weaker. I don't know. Anyways,
So that's what I appreciate about the Wolverine issue, because they do Team X flashbacks, and the way that
love it.
there's amazing paneling where they show a character's face in the foreground, and then they'll decide to pull a specific cells, like it'll be like a 9 sheet,
Mhm.
and they'll pull specific cells to show what the actual present day action is happening. But you'll see a face, like you'll see Sabretooth's face in 9 panels. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like they knew what they were doing, and the fact that Wolverine has to basically dig up his skeletons that are buried
Mhm.
for whatever reason. And vampire stuff aside, if it was just the black ops and the black market, what do you call it, auction, man, I could have read another 3 issues of just the faces, the names, and kind of the stuff that they had there,
Mhm.
and like following different threads of like, why do you want this specifically, right? I loved all that stuff, but it was more of a snatch and grab. Like, we gotta get Maverick out of here.
Yeah, I agree with you. The vampire stuff took me out as well. I like the other stuff much more interesting. But yeah, so there's the vampire arc. There's the Maverick and Team X arc, and then there's the whole relationship with Jeff Bannister and uh, the X Desk, right? So Jeff Bannister and Wolverine share war stories together. We learn about a few new things. The X Desk, which is behind the scenes, like behind
Yeah.
the scenes.
Yeah, which is like, how deep does this go? Jesus,
Yeah, we learned about Beast's Shadow Room.
that was nuts.
Really, really cool. That's like
Like a mine danger
go
room.
ahead. Yeah, it's like a mind danger room. Yeah.
That's all I had for it. I was
Yeah.
just like, I just remember that nugget.
Where he basically has they go through a list too in one of the interstitials, but like, oh yeah, he's got a camera in this guy's office and a camera in this guy's home with the statue, and he's got a mic over here on this guy's phone, so he's just picking up constant things of every. So he's got intel everywhere, right? From the Shadow Room stuff.
Right.
Then we learn about the Mercs and Maverick, and we learn about the Legacy House. And Omega Red has no recollection of being up north with Logan whatsoever.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Omega Red.
So there's a lot of stuff. A lot happens in like just a few issues. It's crazy. But yeah, there's the Omega Red thing. It's kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about, because remember
We
earlier
could
in
say
this
that, because
run,
that
earlier in
happens
this run
on
they were
X
up
Force,
in,
right?
earlier in this run they were up in Canada, and that's when the vampire started.
Yep.
When Wolverine faced off with Omega Red, and Omega Red probably doesn't remember any of that. So
He's
there's
the
that.
through line.
Yeah.
He's the connection.
Yep.
And essentially, I guess vampires want Wolverine's blood so they can walk in day. They want to be daywalkers.
That's basically that's the gist.
It's a very straightforward story, but like, it's not something that should be running more than like 5 issues. It shouldn't be an arc. It shouldn't be longer than an arc, right? Like, you feel like
they're dragging it out a bit.
it's the way that you get
Dracula.
not even talking about that. It's how you get the Omega Red to the forefront, essentially, because he's the prime of that, the most interesting of that.
Who doesn't like Omega Red? He's a cool name, cool look, but he's a bitch in this. He's just a bitch in this. Like, it's
Well, he doesn't know anything yet. He got neutered.
Well, we'll see. I like that quote. Today is a victory over yourself of yesterday. That's interesting, guys.
Oh yeah,
cool
and
quote.
that helps break Maverick out of his trance or whatever
Correct.
he's in. Yes, that's good.
Yeah. Wolverine goes, like you said, goes covert into the Legacy House for auctions and frees Maverick from his mind wipe hold. Maverick tries to get Logan to join the Mercs, and Logan tries to get Maverick to join Krakoa. But they're both like, eh. So
yeah.
And Special Agent Ramirez still has connects to Maverick because they meet up afterwards, right? And Ramirez is the woman behind the X Desk, who's behind the scenes of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, like, who will watch The Watchmen? It's getting
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And then after they get Maverick and stuff, like you said, they switch over to the vampires and Dracula. And he said Dracula wants a vampire nation similar to Krakoa. Don't blame him, with political influence and other such benefits and recognition. So he's kind of seeing how Krakoa has been blossoming. And so he's like, I want that too. And I'm going to talk like that because that's how I read his. Do you read his thing? Like, I am Dracula.
No, but I read Omega Red in Russian.
Russian. Oh, see, I didn't do that. I should have done that. I was the opposite.
So,
Dracula.
As soon as we get to then Colossus.
Iliana.
I love that.
So he has a doctor, James Bogg, working on it, analyzing Wolverine's blood samples because he wants the capability of the healing factor within them, like you said, so they can walk in sunlight. Yeah. Omega Red, of all people, turns against the vampires who control him to convince Wolverine and Beast to make a dirty bomb clone of him. Crazy idea.
Amazing. And I don't know why you'd say Omega of all people. I mean, that he came up with the smart decision. Like, Omega likes working for himself and I guess the Russian government. But even then, he always likes turning on them because they like using him as a weapon. So, like, he's the one dude that's like, it's all me. So the fact that he's like, fuck these guys made perfect sense to me. I was just surprised that the X-Men or X-Force team was just like, no, that's a good idea, man. We should probably follow up with what you're trying to do.
And they, as in our titled characters, learn that they go to Sevalith in Araco, which is like, I guess, the underworld of there. And they learn that the vampires there are a completely different kind of vampire altogether.
Yeah.
They're not like savages. They're like civilized and they're looking for help to banish Dracula forever. And they're like just happy to be their own. And what they think of Dracula and his kind are like disgusting. They're like, these things are like, which I think is dope. But then they go there and they meet with their kind. And who's the head there? But the Horsemen of Death.
Which is awesome.
Which is dope because it's like, oh, that's going to connect.
Dolphin Sound's
Sound's
son. Yeah, his death.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so that did get interesting there. I didn't quite care for the vampire arc until the ending there. I was like, oh.
Yes, and my favorite part of the first arc, which was the whole auction, was the fact that there is a Wolverine hand with claws being auctioned off, and people are trying to get that for so many different reasons. But in Wolverine's head, it's like, where did I go wrong? What happened at what point in my life? Like, this is the first time you see him kind of existentially thinking, like, at what point did I lose track of a hand? Because like I've always had healing, regenerative powers, but this cloning thing and like coming back, I don't know at what point I wasn't me that this happened, right? Yeah. So you get a sense that like Wolverine really doesn't like the world that he lives in now. But I appreciate that in terms of how the arc for his couple of stories are happening, right? Like he can't really focus on that too much. He's got to get Maverick out. Once he gets Maverick out and safe, he's got to go find this next vampire chick, and like they got to go kill vampires. Like he's Van Helsing to a certain level.
yeah.
Forge makes a suit. Like you have a couple laughs, and like, all right, let's go kill. So it's weird, as confusing. I know. I was just talking like as confusing as the world that like
because that actually happens in X-Force, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, you're jumping the shark, man. We haven't even talked X-Force. This is why I was saying I want to talk together. You're like, no, it's not. I was like, well, okay.
I want to talk X-Force first. Like I ended with Wolverine. Like that's how I ended this run, and that's why.
Okay, well, we're gonna end with X-Force.
So are we switching to X-Force then?
Yeah, Wolverine's done. We finished it.
No, I'm looking at the Wolverine book, and Forge is in it, and that lady, the lady girl,
Sage. They're in it.
Not Sage.
The
vampire chick that he picks up.
Oh yeah, I don't know her name.
Like
that's all. That's all X-Force, dude.
It says Wolverine. I'm reading the Wolverine comic. I'm seeing Forge and that chick, and I can't find her name. So you could keep saying that based on your notes, but my friend, moving on.
Go ahead. You want to talk about it? Go ahead.
I said moving on.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
He forgets that I'm editing this, so when he ends up sounding like a jackass this entire time, and he's just coughing, it's because he bit off a fight that he couldn't chew.
Yeah, no, I cut all that stuff out. I was just ready to get rid of the vampire stuff. Let's see. Like out of the notes, I don't have any of that in the notes because I don't care. I know the part that I was trying to keep to the important stuff. They do go down. There is the thing in X Force where Forge Wolverine and Kid Omega go down like 8,600 feet under the sea to find the wreck.
So we're talking about X Force now.
Yeah, we're done. I'm not nothing else to say about Wolverine. You're the one that's going on about the thing. Do you want to talk about his lady
We're
friend?
still in it anyway. I can't go over to specifics on it. You want to talk about Wolverine? We talked about Wolverine. Now we're on X Force.
My notes are very broad. I don't have. If it's not
I just
important
want
to
to
the
know if we're
plot,
on X Force now
I jump.
because
Yeah.
I want to lead into your whole Beast is a villain because it opens up with Jean Grey having to search Colossus' mind to see if he's a turncoat agent.
She interrogates him. Yeah.
Yes,
They're beast orders.
And it's shattering for all the people included because Jean doesn't want to do it, Colossus doesn't want it to happen, and Beast is the only one's like, and we need to do it. So like the team is fractured from that. Wolverine doesn't like Wolverine doesn't like that Beast has this much power. Like I love that dynamic, and that's the first 4 pages. So like Colossus leaves, and he feels betrayed by the team and the families he's ever known. So he goes to Savage Land and paints. And you get all this stuff about painting. Wolverine's just like, yo, Hank, like behave yourself. Like you can't keep doing this. Can't keep pulling power moves. And he leaves. Jean's like, I'm done with this team, and flies off. And Beast's like, back to business, man. He's clean.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on. Even though it fucked. Well, remember when we left off with these guys, Beast publicly arrested Colossus,
yeah.
because of the
Shamed
Russian
him.
dolls.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, you're Russian, so you're guilty. Like,
You're one of them.
ooh, touchy. So yeah, that didn't. Yeah, you're right. And Jean's had enough, and clearly is. And then like, Beast didn't even apologize, really, right?
No,
He did a little bit, but it's
he brings paints, but
Yeah.
like everyone that's on Savage Land that's on Team Colossus is like, yo, don't talk to him. You like fuck you. And Colossus is like, it's alright, I'll take the paints. But like this is different. You can feel like there's a tension there.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's a chicken or egg situation. Like, is the mistrust from Beast gonna push Colossus away to be like, you know what? If this is who you think I am, fuck you. Or was Beast always right? And back of mind, Colossus like, you know what? I love the Russians.
Beast.
So-
Well, Beast is acting. I want to say logically, but in the sense that's like, okay, Russians invaded us. We only have one Russian here, except 2 Russians if you count his sister. But his sister is like part of the. Remember, she's one of the generals, so it's like okay.
Mhm. Yep.
And Colossus has been missing a lot, so it's like, all right, well, what were you doing? So he just kind of he brings him in as like a precaution, like a what's the word? I was gonna say precautionary. He brings him in,
like a suspect, like a
Yeah.
prime suspect. Yeah.
just to interrogate him. But it's embarrassing. He's lost his humanity.
Mhm.
Beast has. He acts more like a machine than a like even when they're examining the seaweed zombies, he's kind of like, and Sage is like, wait, don't
Yeah,
any ideas.
but like I love the revelation that you get between those two. I was gonna say with what Beast did, he didn't have to interrogate him that way. He has so many different teams. He could have sent X Factor for them, for Colossus, to be like, "Hey, we have your questioning," and have a tertiary team deal with it. That way, there's no blood on his hands. And it's just if it came back to him, he'd be like, "It's routine. We're just trying to figure it out."
But
Beast made sure to be like, "My hands are on this. We don't trust you. Come with us."
Yeah,
and like that's enough.
because he doesn't care. He's like, this is in the best interest of the nation. I don't care how it makes you feel. It's not personal. Like he's one of those guys, right? Like
it's very personal. But I also feel like
well, I agree with you. It is, but I'm saying from his point of view, is like it's not personal. This is just protocols. Like
I feel like Beast feels everybody's expendable, especially with the cheat code of like we can bring you back if you clone, but like
except for him,
which is the amazing revelation that
and Sage
and Sage are like we don't do that. Like we have so much secrets buried up here that we cannot reset ourselves. Like if we break down out here, we break down, which is amazing.
Only we can kill each other, and that's the end of it.
That was an amazing nugget to get, but another insight into how high Beast thinks of himself. He's one of one, where everyone else is like, "Oh, you're 13 of 36." Like I don't care what number this is.
Mm-hmm. It's cool, and then they bring the Omega Red things back as he's being used as knowledge as a double agent.
Well,
but then that we've already moved past that with the Wolverine stuff.
We'll get back into it, but what happens first? Is it Domino and Black Tom chilling on the beach? just having a
Yep.
casual day,
Yeah.
and then Kraken, like zombies are hitting the shores.
Yeah.
Like this is what we talked about earlier in the episode. Where, like you can't even just enjoy a leisure day at the beach
No.
because you get some fun stuff between Black Tom and Domino, and just talking about like like that's the life.
Yeah.
Yada,
And
yada,
then
yada.
seaweed zombies come out because, like I wrote here, the seaweed zombies take over a whale, then a battleship of humans, and then like you saying, the humans come up on the shore.
Sure.
And I misspoke. I said it was Beast and Sage inspecting the pieces of the creatures, but it was Beast and Cecilia.
Dr. Reyes, right?
Yeah, and she was kind of like, "Don't." Like he's like fascinating. She's like,
No.
like they all know
So-
he's like
so-
off his rocker, but he's so
Yeah.
he's so integral to the whole operation that they can't do anything about it.
So, like, at what point has Beast become a liability to the team?
He's not a liability. He's just he's got the full support of the council because he does what needs to be done. It's just he's not. Nobody around him really likes him because he's kind of a dick. But
Can
he's
you trust
doing-
everyone with all the secrets?
I'm sorry.
Can you trust everyone with all the secrets?
Everyone, you mean someone with everyone?
Can you trust one man with all the secrets?
No, of course not. But
So,
he,
like, that's
he
Beast.
trusts himself with all the secrets, right? So
But Beast is operating on a whole different
Yeah.
wavelength of like.
he's on the way to becoming Dark Beast. I'm telling you, I've been saying this since like
Yeah, Dark Beast could happen, can happen, but like I really feel like Beast has become the Magneto, the antithesis. Like he's going to be the one villain or anti-hero against everybody else's like true dream, true utopia. So it's interesting. You did call this way early on, like watch out for Beast, man, watch out for Beast. So
yeah,
we're seeing it.
yeah. I don't remember when it was, but it was something to do with like the Brazil. When they're doing the Brazilian thing when they found the first set of zombies. Now they're dealing with different zombies. Those are the jungle zombies.
yeah.
These are the seaweed zombies. Those are the jungle zombies.
So this is crazy, right? Because like they get a small team of Wolverine, Kid Omega, and Forge builds them all these crazy like
Yeah.
suits that can float. And I laugh so hard that like as soon as they go into the water, Wolverine sinks so fast.
Yeah, that's amazing because yeah, I didn't even realize that until it happens. Like that makes sense.
He's like a body bag full of metal. And
Yeah,
just fell. And
he
then
just floats down.
he finds a Kraken, like he finds a god, like he sees this giant monster, like he goes like face to face with the eye, and the reveal I was not expecting, but as soon as it came, I was fucking elated.
Amazing, perfect sense. Namor,
the Crown Prince,
Namor,
and
He's like,
I haven't seen him in this book at all. That's not true.
no, he was. They remember they tried to recruit him and he told them to fuck off.
Early.
He's
He's like, I'm going back to the water.
he's like, I'm gonna join.
He's like, I
you."
have all of this. Yeah. So it's been a while, but I like that he's still on the map because at any point,
Yeah,
Namor.
like we're looking for this giant. We're looking for something. He's like the thing behind me.
And he starts battling. He's got a
Yeah, he's
trident.
like-
and
he's like-
he's going ham.
He's like, leave. I'll take care of this. Don't come back to
never-
the water again, or I'll kill you.
I don't get his costume because he's wearing pants and he's wearing like a shirt, but it's not a shirt. It's just the sleeves,
Yeah, that's right.
and it's all like chest and abs. I was like, all right, buddy, like we get it, but like, what was the point of the shirt cuffs? But
He just wants to show off, man.
I mean, he's already king.
It's Namor. That's all. That's his mo. Just show off.
But like again, Wolverine gets this existentialist. Like he talks about when he finally goes back up to land of just like, I've seen a giant beast and I feel like a speck, and like there's something about it. It can only go two ways. I think he gets the final quote in the book. I will read it because I really enjoyed it. If you ever summited a mountain or stood in the shadow of a pyramid or stared into the furnace of the sun, then you know what I'm about. Then you know what happens when you're in the company of something bigger and stronger and older than math can figure out. On one hand, there's the awe that shrinks you down to a humble speck of nothing. On the other hand, there's a desire to conquer that thing, climb its top and plant a flag, crack open a tomb, sift through the sand's guts, snuff out the flame. Well, down below in the trench, I brushed up against a leviathan. It eyeballed me, and its gaze. I was a speck. I was a meaningless speck. And now I ain't going to be able to sleep right until I kill it dead. I fucking loved it. So
Yeah.
great way to end that book.
Yeah.
You want to talk anything about Kid Omega and anything? Or
He doesn't
does that-
die. That was his big thing. He doesn't die. I earlier said Cable was with Phoebe, but it's not. It's Quentin Quire with Phoebe. Cable's with one of the other ones. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Did I get it mixed up? It's Phoebe, right?
There's three of them.
There's
They all
5 of
look
them. Yeah,
alike.
yeah. That's right. There's 3 of them. So,
There's too many of them.
but it's Phoebe. Phoebe and Quentin are together. Cable's with somebody else. I don't. They all look the same. But
and then
yeah, he
we
doesn't
find out,
die.
but
He doesn't die. So that's he's kind of got his own thing going on because we were
Yes.
talking about it earlier. But he's like, listen, I die so many times. I don't even know which way's up anymore. Like,
and it's thrown me off now, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't put a handle of my power sets because who he's encountering, it now seems to be like a fabrication or like a replication of his power set.
Mhm.
Because Kid Omega, he's got he's an Omega, but like I don't know his full scope of abilities, but he does have a lot of.
He's an Omega
mental,
level
like-
dude. That's why he's named Kid Omega. He's
I
not
get it, but
quite
like
there yet.
his psychic abilities
Mhm.
can like create. I don't know if they're real or like fabric of people's imagination, but the people that are getting like slaughtered and like hurt and like afraid keep seeing these mutated versions of X-Men and himself. So he doesn't know if he's doing it, if someone else is replicating him. So it's another sort of clone type of storyline, like similar to Cable, but this one seems to be a little stronger and a little more out of his scope because the second thing he does, the first thing he gets a new suit. Well, I mean, sure. I don't know what the whole purpose of that was for.
That
But
was
the second for,
it's to make him seem more
like grown
serious or something.
and
I was
like different,
okay.
yeah, like step up his game. But
That's
the
just,
second thing,
that's just a woman trying to change his wardrobe.
he didn't do that. I feel like it was more him, and she was just like supporting his. Like she tried to talk him off the ledge. The second thing he did was get Jean. He's like, "Yo, Jean, we need you now. Like you have to be part of X Force because what's happening is above my pay grade, and the power set I don't really fully understand, and this is right in your wheelhouse." And Jean's like, "All right, so." I'm interested to see what happens because this is on a completely different level in terms of power set. But I can't pin down who the villain of this new arc is going to be. So like I'm very excited for X Force. X Force, my book. I feel like Hellions is your book.
Mhm.
I love X-Men. Marauders is starting off really slow and it's going to be fucking great. X Factor, we're both unsure of. Excalibur, I think we'll pick up, but I don't know if it's going to. Until we get Dolphin Sounds back, it's not going to be as great as it can be.
No,
And,
well, yeah. Part of you were talking about the resurrection just before you finished of Quentin Quire and how he keeps having the resurrection, but then he because he dies so much now, he's putting all the requests in.
oh, that
Remember
was
it?
so
So
funny.
funny. Yeah. So some of the requests are like I wrote from it's self history. Like so it's a report from the 5, and they're
Right.
kind of like,
We've had enough
okay,
of this
like
kid.
this is insane. Like, are we really gonna keep doing this? Then it's like the recent request is like, request coloring his hair rose gold instead of pink.
And
Or
then
no,
the
sorry,
next
it
one
starts.
is-
Sorry, it's adjusting. Sorry, it starts with this. Like request number 13. It's like adjusting redacted to these precise dimensions. See
You're
attached
right.
report 1A. Number 14. Adjusting eyes to secure 20/20 vision acuity, making glasses a mere accessory. Then like skips ahead. It's like request 224. Eliminating hair follicles in armpits, back, chest, and groin at these precise dimensions. See attached report 2B so as to avoid waxing. Like I was like, that's fair.
Is it?
Request 225, eliminating hair follicles on sides of head and these precise dimensions. See attached report 2B, so to avoid shaving. Request 226, eliminating hair follicles on face at these precise dimensions. See attached report 2B, so as to avoid shaving. It's like he wants this permanent haircut. It's like skips ahead. It's like request 311, coloring his hair pink instead of rose gold. Request 310, coloring his hair rose gold instead of pink.
Instead
And
of
it's just
pink, yeah.
It's
Like,
like,
he
what,
doesn't
like what are
even-
we doing here? It's like the
doesn't even know
notes
what
at
he
the bottom is
wants.
like, God,
Yes.
he's so annoying. We need to put forward a resolution that provides some
So
X-Force
good.
power.
But it's great to see him at the forefront because usually he's the first guy in and first guy dead, and that's how they use X Force. Like they have the craziest missions. They're basically Impossible Mission Force, right? They're doing all the
Yes.
Mission Impossibles.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's always the one to die is kind
Well,
of
they're like the CIA of Krakoa,
They did say that, right?
right?
Yeah.
So,
But they do but X Force does all the Black Ops,
yes, correct.
right? Like
That's what I mean.
one of the crazy storylines was with Xeno and them like replicating Domino, and I think that's who the big bad is, right? Like Zeno, the guy with the mask,
Oh, the guy with
peacock
the
mask.
guy with the peacock tattoo.
Yes, I think it's Zeno. It's like
Well, so it's a no, I can't remember his name, but it's a group called Sapiens, and they're framing mutant kind for murder and causing false claims of mind control medicines from Krakoa. So they're just this group is just attacking them, in a kind of a political way, trying to affect their relationships with other nations of the world.
yeah, it's Zeno.
Excuse me, yeah, and yeah, they've got these. Basically, what's happening. You're right. Sorry, I can't remember the name of the group, but you're right. The same guys that were taking the domino pieces, they're now taking. They've found, I guess, Quentin Quires like dead bodies because he's died so many times.
Yes, and the same sort of parallel with Wolverine. So I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if they go for him next, right? So I
He
don't
doesn't
know.
die as much as thing, but you're right. He has died a lot in.
And it's not necessarily about dying. It's just we want their pieces. We want to harvest their DNA. And I don't know what it is about this run, but it's really embedded in like we want the seeds, we want the blood, we want the skin, we want the follicles. Like a lot of the stories really deal with not who they are, but like what they're built up of, and like how these villains are now trying to attack them inside out. And man, if like this is what we're in store for, it's gonna be crazy for the next like part 2. So
I
no,
like
man,
that. I
I'm
like
in.
that. I like that when one of the alt Quentin Quires, like because you're right. There's like these. They're causing all this shit because what they scan the ship that dies and and they're like they get traces of his energy and it's like, well, how are you doing this? Right? That's
Right.
how they get in the case. And I like when they attack Beast and Sage too, but Beast and Sage kind of break the illusion because they're so analytically attuned that they're just like,
This doesn't
wait
make
a
sense.
second, this doesn't work.
This error. This does not
Error,
compute.
abort,
Yeah.
abort, and it's like Beast has like a stroke.
Yeah, and like they say like Beast is dead. Like they don't even know. Like we're left on a cliffhanger of like if he's really conscious yet, if he's still moving around, because they want to take him back to like regenerate or like
right, and I think
build him back.
I think they do. I think Sage is the one who puts the bullet in his head. It's just like because
But they haven't taken him to clone, right? Like
right.
they're not going to do that. So I don't know what's going to happen next. I really want to read ahead, but you've told me not to. So
We'll be going
I
to
will
now.
wait.
Now that we've caught up, so that actually wraps up this portion of Reign of X. A little bit all over the place, but it's because these books, some of these books flow together nicely, and other ones are just kind of like, no, we're over here. Like Hellions is like we're over here.
Which book
Marauders
do you
is
feel?
like we're over here.
Which book do you feel, based on what you've read, is going to have the greatest payoff? Not necessarily what you're enjoying
X-Men.
now. Yeah.
X-Men. They get to make a team that chooses itself. You get Psyche back in the leadership role with his bow.
You assume that Psyche's going to be the leader of the new X-Men team?
I don't. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying he's going to be in charge of putting it together. And basically their idea is like, you want to join in, join in. That's going to be fun because that's going to be a hodgepodge of different. That's a team of X-Men we've probably never seen before, right? So.
And which of the books that we haven't read do you feel is going to fill into what's happening in the landscape currently? Because there's stuff we haven't touched yet completely, but there's still New Mutants out there. We haven't touched Sword.
New Mutants we haven't touched yet, and we only touched one issue of X-Men, and we haven't touched New Mutants at all.
Any of those do you feel like is going to work well in this, or it's going to be another? Like the blessing about New Mutants, the last one was they were always doing stuff in space, far away.
Yep.
So it didn't interfere with what was going on, and we got to like those characters because they were getting dragged in. Any early thoughts of what you think the new titles are going to be good, going to fit in, going to be a waste? It's going to be another Psylocke pre.
I don't like that Cable has his own book. I don't think it's necessary.
It's not going to last long.
No, it's not going to last long. So I think that one's going to wrap up fast.
I wouldn't be mad if Rachel got like if they handed the torch from Cable to Rachel and just went.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know what the point of. I don't know what the point of Cable having his own book is.
You know he's a linchpin.
Somehow, I mean, it worked. I guess it worked. No,
old Cable.
I don't know why.
He's got to be.
Like out of all the mutants, the ones that have solo runs are Wolverine and Cable.
Mm-hmm.
Strange.
Until Deadpool.
Wolverine makes sense, but was that
until Deadpool comes back? Can he cross the gate? That was a whole thing, right?
Yeah, he's a mutant.
Who was it that couldn't cross the gate?
Oh no,
until we get-
Deadpool's not a mutant. Sorry, he couldn't
Yeah,
cross
see?
the gate. He's mad about
yeah.
that because he couldn't. He's a Deadpool of different powers. That's right. He's not technically a mutant. He's a creation. But I think they gave him access, and he was kind of like, nah, whatever.
I feel like he's coming back because that's just how X-Force works, and he's like baked into X-Force, right? Like,
We'll see.
and then
we'll
there's,
see.
I think personally, and then there's the whole Franklin Richards
That's
that
right.
hasn't panned out yet. So
That's
like
right.
that's also on the
Because
landscape.
he's a mutant too.
So again, I'm excited. I think Coke's excited. We got more in store.
Is there
Sorry
s-
that this is long.
Is
but
there
we
still
got
any? Well,
more
one
to
thing
talk
is
about.
there still anybody you haven't seen yet that you want to see?
Deadpool.
We've seen him in the past though.
I haven't seen Archangel. I've seen Angel.
Well, there's no Archangel with Angel. He's
I mean, you asked. Are you talking about
Yeah.
variants or just
no. I'm
specific
talking about
characters?
specific characters.
I don't know. Fucking Leech. Something weird.
Leech, I don't know. Well, I got my Maverick, right? So I was happy to have that and Proteus.
That's what you're looking for?
That's
I
what I was
mean-
looking for in the beginning. We talked about this like years ago.
But this was like, how do you, based on everything we've read, how do you not get at least one character that you love? So like, I'd have
That's
to
what I mean.
dig
We've got everybody. No,
deep
we've got.
in the crates.
It was just before. I was like, oh, this guy's missing. Now it's kind of like I don't know. I was asking because I don't have the answer either. I don't know who's missing.
I need, or like Juggernaut.
He's not a mutant though. So, but he's I
But
think
he's an
getting-
X-Men.
But
He's
he
a
has a right to a claim to
Bitch.
fame there. He's got a
Yeah,
claim to fame. He has
And then Sabretooth, because he got short.
you.
fused,
So
right?
that was one thing you called a long time ago. Sabretooth was gonna be a big player
yeah.
because he went to the
He's
hole real fast.
He's been in a hole. He's either angry or like more angry. But
I remember what he did.
Yeah.
He killed somebody, right? Like
and then Namor. I got Namor.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and then he killed a mutant. No, and there's like
Or
can't kill
human. He
mutants.
did
Or
something.
human. Oh yeah, they said no humans too.
I don't remember. I'll look that up because I don't remember. It's so long ago.
This is the funnest and weirdest thing to try and like forecast because
Mm-hmm.
the amount of things that we've seen already. I like Nimrod started off in like the first issue, and they flash forward like 100,000 years into the future, and they're like Nimrod's like, oh no, I ruined everything. So like at some point down the line, like that has to happen.
Yeah.
But like I have to start thinking in terms of villains because I've got basically all the heroes that I want. Like my perfect X-Men team exists. They may be on separate teams and not assigned together, but it's the villains that I'm really looking deep at because they're the real claim to fame.
I want to see Sauron. I haven't seen Sauron yet.
I mean, there's a Savage Land, so
I want to see Sauron.
that's not a bad list. We get Juggernaut, Sabretooth. I mean, you got Omega Red, which is awesome. Sauron, Sinister's fucking amazing. What's Lady Deathstrike and who she roll with? What's that team? Damn it!
The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Nope, the guy with treads, the Tank Man.
Oh, but that's where Grey Crow from.
What's the name?
Are you talking about Callisto?
No, I'm talking about the team of like Animorph, and they're like half machine, half like.
Yeah, those are the Purifiers.
Is that what they're called?
Pretty sure.
I always forget the tank guy name though.
Let's see.
Bonebreaker.
The Reavers? The Reavers.
Reavers.
The Reavers.
I want Bonebreaker. So I want Reavers. That'd be awesome. But Bonebreaker's hilarious.
That's Donald Pierce's team. Yeah, the Reavers.
It's half a guy, and his lower half is a tank.
Yeah,
So,
Tank Man. Yeah, I don't remember his name though.
strong guy. I mean, bring back true X Factor. I haven't seen
Yeah,
strong guy.
I don't know about all that, but hey,
Listen,
everybody's
asked.
gonna be it. Yeah,
This is how deep in the crate I have to go
Yeah,
because
but-
I've literally got everybody else.
yeah. Except nobody cares. The whites will now take care of the black market. That sounds so bad.
At comic_patrol on Twitter, comicpatrolpod@gmail.com. You can send in, hey,